Welcome to Wife Cheating Story. I hope you have an enjoyable and relaxing time listening. Let's get started.
The club was chaos neon lights, pounding music, and a predator's grin on her face. She thought I wouldn't find out, thought she could get away with it again. But I wasn't the same man she had broken. When they tried to hurt Kathy, I saw red. No more silence, no more passivity. I wasn't just her victim anymore. I was vengeance in flesh and blood. "Nobody touches what's mine," I growled as fists met walls and justice met betrayal. When Don talked about how strangers were getting too familiar with him, I felt a wave of protectiveness. People were crossing lines with my Don. Back in my clubbing days, which I could easily give up for him, there were times when someone acted inappropriately towards me. I always spoke up, often getting the attention of security or even the police. Men don't always have the same options, and since Don attracted attention, I understood why he was a target. That was something I felt strongly about. Megan and Robin finally came out from their break an hour later. Don and I sent them in to see Kathy, giving her a big mirror while I stood by the door with Don's camera. Kathy didn't shout, but used her usual playful comments. That seemed right for her, didn't it? That afternoon, I took my family shopping. Don really needed some new clothes, and I wanted to get my girls some cozy robes and slippers. For Don's clothes, he let me pick styles and colors, but wasn't shy about commenting on the prices until I gave him a look to remind him to stay quiet. When it was time to pay, I had to tell him again to put his wallet away. I enjoyed shopping a lot. Someday I'd love to get him that Mustang. A convertible would be just right. I had a great weekend. Saturday night wasn't the best, but still interesting. Maria went a little overboard and bought me a whole new wardrobe. Maybe it was a thank you for the jewelry I gave her for Christmas. She even picked out 2 pairs of expensive shoes, which surprised me. Later, I got a call from Kathy. She apologized for her actions on our last outing and asked if we could go out again the next Saturday. She promised not to drink if I said yes. Seeing this as a chance for a fresh start, I happily accepted dating nice women couldn't hurt. On Monday, I had another session with my therapist. This time, we talked about my father. "Don, you mentioned how you were with your father during his illness from a young age. He gave you important advice on caring for your family, and you took notes during that time. You loved him. But that experience must have been heavy for you. When someone knows they don't have much time left, they often speak with a sense of urgency. Young children are especially affected by such moments. Don, you are a wonderful person and a great caregiver. However, the way your father taught you to behave in tough situations makes it easy for others to take you for granted. It's a sad part of human nature that some people act without consideration, no matter what's going on underneath. I'm not saying you should change your behavior right away, as that might be hard and could affect your mental health. Instead, I want you to notice how people respond to you and your actions. It might help to talk about this with close friends who can help you see behaviors that could make others take you for granted. She didn't tell me anything new, but I liked being kind. If others didn't get it, that was their problem. We spent the rest of the session thinking about my interactions and why they often led to others taking advantage of my kindness. While dancing with Maria on Wednesday night, I decided to mention what my therapist had said. Megan and Robin had already gone back upstairs, and we were swaying to Moon River. Maria seemed to like that song as much as I did. "Maria? Yes, Don?" "Last Monday, I talked to my therapist, and she pointed out a behavior of mine that might lead people to take advantage of me. She suggested that speaking with good friends about this could help. We haven't known each other long, but do you think we're close enough for me to share this with you?" Maria tightened her hold and pulled me closer. "Don, I see you as a dear friend. If you want to share anything, I'm here to listen." Feeling encouraged, I told her everything my therapist and I had discussed. "Don, what you shared about your father's passing helps me understand your behavior. It might be tough to point out times when others could take advantage of you, but I will do my best. Our friends and I have noticed this part of you since we met. We try not to take advantage of your kindness, but sometimes it just happens. It seems to be a part of who you are, a kind and capable person who we know will always come through. The best way we've found to deal with this is to treat you with as much kindness and generosity as you show us." For the rest of that dance lesson, we didn't really dance much. We just held each other close and moved together. Maria had the CD player set to repeat our song. We finally stopped when Robin called us upstairs to watch movies, and we both felt a little shy. Maria is truly a good friend. On Thursday, I managed to have a sparring session with my tenant, Phil. My schedule had been so busy lately that we had gone from practicing 3 times a week to only once a week most of the time. I had to be careful with my strength so I wouldn't hit or hold him too hard. He was faster and more skilled than I was, but when I did connect, it usually ended quickly. If he just weren't so good at dodging, I'd win a lot more often. Saturday night was my important makeup date with Kathy. I made prime rib for dinner and a cake for dessert, just as Maria asked. Once again, Maria and Kathy picked out the clothes I should wear. At least my new pants felt much better this time. We went to 2 clubs and only had soda water. The clubs Kathy chose were more relaxed, so we could talk without yelling. I was having a good time. She even started to teach me how to dance to some modern music. After the second club, Kathy looked at me thoughtfully and made a request. "Don, can you do me a favor? There's a party place I've been wanting to visit, and I would love it if you could take me there tonight. I know where it is. It's a bit unusual, but could you please take me? It will just be for a quick drink, and I'm really curious to see what it's like." "Kathy, I'm not sure about going to a place like that. I've heard some concerning things. Call me careful, but I think it's safer to avoid spots like that." "Please, Don. My friends have gone, and I really want to check it out." "Kathy, please, Don. I just want to go once so I can say I've been there." She looked at me with hopeful eyes. Even though I wasn't completely comfortable with the idea, I finally agreed, but I still felt uneasy because of all the stories I'd heard about such places. "Okay, but you must promise to stay close to me." "I promise. I promise." She skipped along happily. The place we arrived at was an old warehouse, and the parking lot was full. We even had to pay to get in. Once we stepped inside, I was taken aback. The music was incredibly loud, and the crowd seemed wild. There were at least 3 raised areas with people in them. Some were dancing, while others sat quietly. I leaned down to Kathy's ear. "They must be paying a lot for the performers." "No, I heard that they're just people who come here and decide to join in. I guess they like the spotlight and enjoy this kind of fun." It was a bit surprising. At the bottom of each platform were some big individuals. I figured they were there for safety, which made me feel a little better, but I still worried about Kathy. Some places we had visited already felt uncomfortable, but this one made my anxiety grow. I wanted Kathy to leave this wild club and be in a safer place. I've always been protective of my friends. Kathy and I pushed our way through the crowd and got some soft drinks. For a moment, she stood near 3 college guys. Their closeness made me uneasy, so I started to move closer when they mixed back into the crowd. That event made me anxious for the rest of the night, reminding me of a time years ago when some people got too close to Barbara. After we enjoyed our drinks, we danced to a few songs and decided it was time to go. "Don, I'm not feeling well. I'm a bit dizzy. I'm going to the bathroom and I'll be back soon." I followed her to the bathroom, which was in a narrow hallway at the back of the building, and tried to wait near the door. Across from the bathroom was the men's room entrance. The hallway went a short way before ending at an exit with a bouncer standing in front. So many people were trying to get to the restrooms that I got pushed back almost 20 feet, but I kept my eyes on the door. When Kathy came out, she was holding her head and seemed unsteady. Suddenly, 3 individuals from earlier stepped out of the men's room, grabbed Kathy, and hurried her out the back door right past the bouncer, who didn't try to stop them. I started moving as soon as they took her. The bouncer tried to stop me. "Hey, you can't use the back door, you have to go." I didn't slow down to argue. He allowed them to take Kathy, so I was determined to get her back. I pushed hard, and I think he managed to shove me once before I broke free and rushed out the door. I found myself in a dark alley. There was a light over the door which helped me see a few large garbage bins and 1 parked car. 2 individuals were putting a weakly struggling Kathy into the back seat of the car, while the third one got into the driver's seat. The alley was L-shaped, and the car was parked at the end of the short section. I knew I couldn't stop a car, but the trash bins could. I quickly released the brakes on 1 bin near me and pushed it hard to block the car. The driver seemed hesitant to damage his car at first, so he didn't move. I rushed to push 2 more bins next to the first one, blocking the car completely. Now they were trapped, and the bins were positioned so that if the car pushed against them, it would get stuck. I took out my phone and called 911. I explained the situation, gave our location, the car's license number, my name, Kathy's name, and the number of people involved. The police told me to hold on, but I insisted there wasn't time because it was happening right now. I kept my phone connected to the call and set it down near the wall of the alley next to a piece of concrete. I picked up a piece of concrete and ran toward the car that was stuck. The driver, scared and trapped, started moving the car back and forth as I approached. It wasn't safe for me to be close, so I waited for the right moment. I jumped onto the trunk and quickly crawled over the roof to the hood. Finally, I was able to hold on. I used my right hand and the piece of concrete to hit the windshield. I could hear Kathy softly crying inside the car. The vehicle was stuck so tight that it could only move a little bit forward, back, or side to side. I knew I couldn't stay safely on the ground. The car was moving wildly, hitting the dumpsters that then crashed against the walls of the alley. It was a scary scene, made worse by the loud noises. I nearly fell off many times, but somehow I stayed on. I wasn't worried about my own safety. I was focused on Kathy. It felt like she was trapped in a scary situation and I had to get her out. No one can hurt my family and friends. Driven by anger, I kept hitting the windshield until I made a hole. The three people inside were shouting in fear. They didn't seem like the type to carry weapons, which I was glad about. This probably felt like a game to them, not thinking about how scared their victim was. Now, they had to face the reality of what was happening. I wondered why they didn't just get out of the car to fight back. Even if they had, it wouldn't have worked. As soon as they stopped the car, I would have taken control. Maybe they sensed that, or they might have just been scared and didn't know what to do. I quickly reached through the hole and hit the driver in the face with the piece of concrete. He tried to move away, but I hit him and he screamed. With him stunned for a moment, the car stopped moving. I smashed the driver's side window, surprised by how easily it broke. Meanwhile, Kathy was screaming, and the other two on the back seat were shouting, but I didn't pay attention to their words. I slid off the hood and reached in to hit the unlock button, throwing the driver's door open as hard as I could. I didn't get it off completely, but I knew it wouldn't shut right again. I reached inside and pulled the keys out of the ignition, tossing them aside. The driver was huddled in the corner, holding his face and moaning. The two people in the back seat with Kathy tried to play with the rear door locks, attempting to keep me from reaching her. They were shouting at me, but I didn't have time to pay attention. After a few moments of trying with the unlock button on the driver's door, I finally managed to open the back door. Kathy was stuck between two guys. I grabbed the one closest to me and pushed him against the alley wall, where he fell to the ground. The other person was still holding on to a startled Kathy, trying to use her as a shield. I reached past Kathy, took hold of him, and made him let her go. Then, I pulled Kathy away to a safer spot. She was crying. I guessed that when the three men had cornered her earlier at the club, they had done something to her drink. It seems to happen too often now. They probably waited for the right moment. It didn't help that Kathy hadn't had any drinks that night. I reached the wall by my cell phone and sat down on the ground. I held Kathy with one arm while I used my other hand to grab my phone. My hands were hurt, but they still worked. I called for help and explained what was happening, asking for police and ambulances. Kathy was shaking and crying during the call, sometimes thanking me. I was also trembling, feeling scared for her. My hands were covered in blood, and I worried about becoming too weak to protect her until help arrived. Maybe I should have gone to my car, but the area felt dangerous. I wanted to stay alert since I knew those men were still in the alley, and I wanted them to face the consequences. The first police cars came within 5 minutes after I rescued Kathy. 4 officers entered the alley and approached us. I was too tired to say more than a quick hello. They wanted to ask me questions separately from Kathy, but she wouldn't let go of me and got upset when they tried. Realizing she was the victim, they treated her gently and stepped back, which made me feel better. I was ready to react if they didn't stop. I told them what happened and mentioned that the bouncer might be involved. This caught their attention. Before they took Kathy to the hospital, they again tried to separate us. I found myself in the ambulance, sitting on a stretcher with Kathy next to me. The attendants were concerned about my injuries, but I was determined to call Freddie from the ambulance. Luckily, she answered. I told her part of the story and asked her to come to the hospital to support Kathy. She would need all the help she could get after what she went through. At the hospital, Kathy still wouldn't let go of me, and the nurses were getting firm with her until I insisted that they wait for Kathy's friend to arrive. I was surprised when Vanessa stepped through the door first, with Freddie coming in 5 minutes later. They gently took Kathy from my arms and Vanessa held her close. The nurses had already taken some blood from Kathy to find out what was wrong. Meanwhile, they started working on my hands. I ended up getting an IV. I received 37 stitches in my right hand and 18 in my left to close the cuts, which weren't too deep. Both of my hands were pretty swollen and bruised from the impact. While they were treating me, my phone rang. It was Maria, and Freddie answered. He was with me while Vanessa was with Kathy. He talked for a while before he held the phone up to my ear. I said a quick hello, but I was so tired that I asked him to take the phone back. Where were they? It was almost 4:30 in the morning, and they still weren't home. I finally decided to call Don's phone. Hello, Don, are you there? Hi, Maria, it's Freddie. I'm with Don's phone. Why do you have Don's phone? Is he and Kathy okay? What happened? They're both okay now, but it was a scary situation. Don didn't call you because you were busy with Megan and Robin, and he didn't want you to worry. The hospital? How did that happen? Some people tried to harm Kathy, but Don was quick and stopped them. They took Kathy to the hospital to check on her because of the drugs. Don hurt his hands a little and needed stitches. We should have everyone back home in about an hour or so. Let me give you Don. Hi, Maria. I'm sorry for the worry. How are you and the kids? Don, we're fine, but what about you? I'm okay, just really worn out. Freddie, can you talk to her for me? I'm sorry, Maria, but Don is really tired. They gave him something for the pain and it's making him sleepy. He called me to come help Kathy because she was upset. I called Vanessa and she met us at the hospital. I apologize for not calling you sooner. We've been busy. Okay, I understand, but please come back as soon as you can. I don't want Megan and Robin to worry. I was upset. Don and Kathy were hurt, and he didn't call me. I didn't know if I wanted to cry or talk to him. After taking a moment to breathe, I realized that maybe he didn't call because he didn't want Megan and Robin to hear anything that would scare them, but it still hurt. Didn't he understand how I felt? I waited anxiously for an hour, checking the window every minute for what felt like a long time. Finally, I saw both Vanessa's and Freddie's cars pull up. Vanessa rushed over to Freddie's car and helped Don out of the back seat. I wondered why he needed help if it was just a small cut. Freddie tried to help Kathy out too, but she quickly went to Don's other side to assist him. Don looked like he could walk fine, but something was off. I decided I needed to find out more, so I went outside in my bathrobe to greet them. Don, Kathy, are you two okay? Kathy replied, I'm good, but Don's hands are hurt and he's feeling a bit dizzy from the medicine and losing some blood. Losing blood? Medicine? Don insisted, I'm fine, really. I just need some sleep. I figured I would wait to ask questions until we got them inside and settled. We helped Don inside and into bed, but with his hands hurting, he struggled to find a comfortable position. Since I didn't know the full story, I did my best to assist him. He fell asleep almost immediately, and we quietly left the room. I wanted to ask my friends what happened, but decided to keep quiet for now. I gathered everyone at the dining room table. Before we dive into what happened tonight, Kathy, are you ready to talk about it now? I think it's best to share it all now. I don't think I'll sleep well, and I know you want to know about Don. Okay, but first, would anyone like some tea and cake before we begin? I knew it seemed silly to worry about snacks when there were more serious things to discuss, but I needed a moment to gather my thoughts. Plus, a little treat might help everyone feel more at ease, especially Kathy. Everyone nodded yes, so I prepared a snack before joining them at the table. There was a lot of chatter while I prepared, but it was hard to follow what everyone was saying. Kathy, could you please start from the beginning? Some things you said weren't clear. Sure. After the second club we went to, I realized we were near an underground club I had always wanted to see. Some of my school friends talked about it, and I was curious. I felt like a know-it-all who had never been there. I convinced Don to take me, even though he wasn't too keen on going. Neither of us had anything but soda that night, and I promised Don it would be quick. We got our drinks when suddenly, 3 well-dressed college students surrounded me. They distracted me, and I think that was when they messed with my drink. They seemed skilled at sneaking in, and before we knew it, they disappeared into the crowd. Don and I danced a few songs before we decided it was time to leave. I felt lightheaded and thought it would be a good idea to use the restroom first. I hoped that going there would help me feel better. While I was in the restroom, I became scared and started looking for Don. The hallway was very busy, so I figured Don might have been pushed back by people trying to get to the restrooms. When I stepped out, 3 people grabbed me and hurried me out through the back door. The bouncer there did not step in, which made me uneasy. They pushed me outside and forced me into the back seat of a car, with 2 of them climbing in with me. I felt frightened as they grew more aggressive. I think Don arrived just as they were getting me into the car. But then someone outside shoved some dumpsters, blocking us in closely. Later, I learned it was Don. The whole car shook as Don jumped onto the trunk, climbed over the roof, and landed on the hood. He hit the windshield hard, shattering it. The people inside the car screamed, terrified and asking to be let go. I was calling out for Don to help me. Don shouted that he wouldn't let them get away, demanding they stop as he continued to hit the windshield. I could see he was determined to save me. It felt like I was stuck in a bad dream, but the one breaking in was there to protect me. Don finally broke through the windshield and hit the driver, sending everyone inside into a panic. I imagined they understood how serious things had become. Then he managed to open the back door as well. The 2 people with me tried to escape but couldn't open the passenger door on the side away from Don because the car was too close to the wall. Don grabbed the person closest to him and tossed him aside as if they were trash. Then he reached in and took hold of the other person, showing a determination that was quite fearsome. When the person holding me let go, Don gently pulled me out of the car, and his whole attitude changed. He was trying to calm and comfort me. I knew then that Don was worried I was not feeling well because of how I acted earlier, but even though I felt off, my mind was still clear. I thought that whatever happened might have worked better with alcohol in my system. Or maybe I just hadn't had enough, who knows? He took me away from the car and carried me a short distance before we sat down and he called the police. They arrived quickly. Don was holding me in his lap, and I felt so scared and shaken that I wouldn't let go. Don seemed affected too, probably from the adrenaline. The officers and paramedics tried to separate us, but I held on until Vanessa and Freddie arrived at the hospital. I feel bad about that. If I had let go sooner, they could have started helping Don right away. Freddie, Vanessa, and I were all surprised by Kathy's story, turning to look toward Don's bedroom, curious about what was going on there. I remembered hearing about Barbara's rescue when Don was still a teenager from the research we had done on him. What kind of person was I drawn to? I knew he was a hero, but someone who can act so boldly is a little scary. Those thoughts felt unfair to Don, but they still crossed my mind. Then Kathy said something that helped clear my head. "Maria, you don't need to worry about me. I would never step in. But I am definitely in the official Don fan club. He has enough of a wild side for me. If you change your mind or things don't work out between you two, I want my chance with him." At that moment, Vanessa spoke up, sharing her thoughts and feelings clearly. It was like someone had splashed cold water on my face. "Get real, Maria. So Don is protective. He is your protective person, and he does it to help others. Thinking of Don being so strong and determined could be frightening, but he would have done the same to protect you." Why did that thought make me suddenly curious? I felt my breath shorten and a strange mix of feelings wash over me. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Freddie with her hands on her face, shaking her head and laughing a little too much. Freddie was the first of my friends to show interest in Don, but she seemed less affected by him now. The confident Kathy, who was known for her short relationships, had clearly taken notice of Don. If Don appeared strong and made his intentions clear, would Freddie be the only one to stay calm? I would definitely have to find a way to deal with my competition in that case. I should probably introduce my friends to Roscoe. Things changed when Kathy made another surprising statement. "Maria, I have a big favor to ask. Can I sleep in Don's bed tonight?" We all stared at her, caught off guard. I started to shake my head no, but she quickly kept talking. "Don is really tired, and I just want to rest. Right now I can't settle down without him nearby. I know this sounds strange, but that's how I feel. Here's my idea. You can sleep with us too. You'll be in the middle and we'll just rest on top of the sheets. I need him close for one night, and Vanessa doesn't make me feel as safe as Don does. Plus, I'm really worried about his hands. Please just let me have one night to feel calm. Then Kathy used her best trick, her big, pleading eyes. I wondered if that was how she convinced Don to do things he normally wouldn't. In the end, I agreed to it, but I had my own reasons. I wanted to be near Don, and I wasn't sure if I was looking out for Kathy or if she was looking out for me. Vanessa and Freddie stayed over too, but they slept in my room since the other girls were in mine. Robin woke up in bed, surprised to see only Megan with her and that Maria had already gone. She let Megan sleep and went to brush her teeth. They felt especially dirty this morning. The apartment was unusually quiet for 9 a.m. Her father usually woke up much earlier. Still in her pajamas, she went to the kitchen to check. No one was there, and there were no signs of breakfast, just some dirty dishes and coffee cups in the sink. What's going on? As she walked back toward the bedrooms, she opened her father's door a little and peeked inside. He was asleep in bed with both Maria and Kathy. What is going on? She rushed back to Maria's room to tell Megan. She shook her, saying, "Megan, you need to get up right now. It's an emergency. Wake up." Okay, I'm up. Can I go back to sleep now? Daddy, Maria and Kathy are both in bed with him. Suddenly, Megan's eyes widened. What did you say? You heard me. They're all in bed together. What are we going to do? Megan quickly grabbed her robe and rushed out of the bedroom with Robin right behind her. Megan thought if it was just Maria, I would cover for her with my little sister. But it's both Maria and Kathy! Oh my gosh, has Daddy changed that much? I need to see! She slowly opened her father's door, initially just peeking, then looking more closely. They just seem to be sleeping. Maria and Kathy both have pajamas on, and it looks like they're sleeping on the top sheet while Daddy is underneath. It doesn't seem like anything strange happened. What could have happened last night? Megan, what do you think? Whispered Robin. I'm not sure. Let's let them sleep. I think we should get dressed. Robin followed Megan to their room, only to find Vanessa and Freddie still asleep in their beds. What happened last night? The two girls decided they had to get some answers. Megan went to wake Vanessa, with whom she had always gotten along best, while Robin approached Freddie, the one she felt closest to after Maria. The two girls were startled to wake up in a strange bedroom but quickly remembered what was happening and pulled themselves together. Megan and Robin were demanding to know what was going on. Freddie interrupted them. Be quiet, you two. Your father, Kathy, and Maria had a very eventful night. They need their sleep. Get dressed, and we'll take you out for breakfast. Don't worry, we'll explain everything in the car. Everything is fine now and everyone is safe, but they really need to rest. Okay, let's get dressed quietly and sneak out, all right? Freddie insisted on not explaining anything until they left, so the two girls hurried to get ready. Meanwhile, Vanessa and Freddie took their toothbrushes from their bags and went to freshen up as best they could. As they walked to the restaurant, Vanessa shared the details, leading to some surprised comments from Megan and Robin. What? Kathy was taken? Megan said in disbelief. Did Daddy really break a car windshield? Robin asked, shocked. Yes, and it's not easy to do without getting hurt. I really thought your dad would hurt himself before breaking a windshield, Vanessa explained. He had quickly confronted the driver, causing some harm to the car. He acted fast to help Kathy get away from someone in the back seat. Megan then slipped back into some words that Maria had been trying to get her to avoid, saying, Wow. Robin joined in with her sister, replying, Yeah, and then added with a cheeky smile, I'm going to buy him Superman or Batman pajamas and ask Maria and Roscoe to make him wear them. He'll look so cute. Megan smiled at her little sister's fun idea, and they gave each other high fives. Just wait until we tell our friends at school. Some of them said some pretty mean things about their dad after the divorce, calling him silly. This will make them think twice. They won't tease a man who can do such amazing things. I woke up in the morning, or maybe it was early afternoon, considering when we had gone to bed. I found myself sleeping on my side, close to Don. My left arm rested on him, but the sheet still kept us apart. I liked being near him, and my breath lightly touched his face. Did I remember to brush my teeth last night? I hoped my breath wasn't unpleasant. It would be awkward if it bothered him. Thankfully, he stayed asleep, which made me feel better. I alternated between watching his calm face and closing my eyes, enjoying the closeness. About an hour later, Kathy got up to use the bathroom. I kept my eyes shut and pretended to be asleep. When she returned, she leaned over and said, "I know you're awake, you sneak." She laughed softly and tried to get comfortable and sleep a bit more. Eventually, Don started to wake up and tried to sit up. Noticing him move, I pulled my arm away and pretended to be asleep, but when I saw he was struggling, I woke up to help him. "Don, can I help you?" "Oh, thanks for staying with me during the night, Maria, but I'm just in my boxers." Typical Don, he misunderstood the situation, trying to make it sound better and getting a little embarrassed about me being there. I interrupted him since he seemed a bit flustered. I would really like to share a special moment together soon. "Don, remember that I've seen you in your bathrobe before. You stay where you are and I'll get it for you. Then I can help you sit up so you can put it on. If you want, you can keep the sheet over your lap. I'll close my eyes while you stand up. It will be simple." "Maria, Don, please don't make me get Roscoe. Or even worse, Megan and Robin," I said tiredly. "You need help, and I'm going to assist you whether you like it or not." I got his robe and guided him my way. Maybe I didn't keep my eyes closed as tightly as I should have, but I needed to make sure Don was steady on his feet, especially after feeling dizzy the night before. I hadn't felt this uneasy in a while and really needed to use the restroom. I hoped it would help. I tried to push myself up with my hands. Ouch! I had forgotten about what happened the night before. Now I wasn't sure which hurt worse, my hands or my discomfort. I was in a tricky spot trying to get up from my bed. Suddenly I heard, "Don, can I help you?" Maria was in my room. What was happening? I thought she must have stayed nearby to take care of me. It was still quite embarrassing. I quickly turned onto my side and adjusted the blankets to hide my discomfort. After that, things went smoothly. Maria found a way for me to keep my dignity while she helped me. I was able to make my way to the bathroom safely. Kathy quickly got up when Don entered the bathroom. I think Don was so focused on his situation, and since Kathy was being very still, he didn't even notice she was there. Before she left the room, she turned to me with a smile and held up her hands to show how far apart they were. Well, there goes my hope that she didn't see it. It was still plenty big enough for me. I followed her, surprised. "Kathy, you seem to be doing really well this morning, considering what happened last night. How are you managing?" "I've been thinking about that," Kathy said. "There are a few reasons. First, Don helped me when I needed it. Second, he stood up to those guys, and that makes me feel a lot better. Third, they didn't get a chance to hurt me, thankfully. And fourth, being near Don last night helped me calm down. I could sleep, think about what happened, and process everything. I'm not saying I'm completely fine, but I'm feeling much better and proud of myself for how I handled it." Just then, Megan, Robin, Vanessa, and Freddie came through the front door. Freddie explained that they didn't want to disturb anyone, so they went out for breakfast instead of cooking at home. Megan and Robin encouraged Kathy to share her story, and she told it in a way that was appropriate for everyone. They were really impressed with how their father had handled things. Don soon joined us wearing comfortable sweatpants and a shirt. It was clear that he was having some trouble with his hands, so I made pancakes and bacon for everyone. Megan and Robin insisted on helping him eat since it was difficult for him to use utensils. They were very attentive, showing care and concern for his situation. Vanessa, Freddie, and Kathy left early in the afternoon. Kathy seemed a bit hesitant, but said she needed to finish her schoolwork. We spent the rest of the day taking care of Don, helping him eat, making sure he took his medicine, and giving him ice packs for his swollen hands. It was obvious that Don would need to stay home from work on Monday since his hands were still too swollen for him to do much. I had planned to stay overnight on Monday to help Don, but Megan and Robin wanted to stay too instead of going back to their mother's house. I wanted some time alone with Don, but I understood why they were worried. Megan called their mom, Barbara, to explain why they were staying. To my surprise, Megan handed the phone to Don, saying her mom wanted to talk to him. He went into his bedroom for some privacy. Megan and Robin surprised me by coming in suddenly. They called me on Sunday night to say they would not be home on Monday and might not return until Thursday. When I asked why, they told me their father had been hurt, and they needed to care for him. I felt worried. How badly was he hurt? Did it have anything to do with the issue he had mentioned a few weeks ago? My girls kept their promise to their father and wouldn't tell me anything more. I insisted on speaking with Don. He hesitated, but then explained that he had hurt his hands, which were swollen and needed a few stitches. He reassured me that it was unrelated to the earlier problem. What hurt the most was when I offered to come help him. He shut me down. The man who had been my support for so long wouldn't allow me to assist him. I felt a wave of sadness after that call because I realized things were different now. He wouldn't be there for me when I needed him any longer. It made me more determined to go to my upcoming appointment with a new therapist. I ended up meeting a therapy team, and my first appointment with them was on Tuesday night. They were a unique couple who worked together to help their clients. I had heard some talk about them and tried to learn more, but I still didn't know much. They worked quietly, but they had a reputation for helping when others could not. "Hello, Miss Hendricks. I'm Gail Pone, and this is my husband, Paul Pone. How can we help you?" "Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Pone. You can call me Barbara. To be honest, I messed up my marriage and my life because I made some poor choices. I've heard great things about you, and I want to regain as much of my former life as possible." They shared a glance that seemed to say, "Here we go again." Paul replied, "Barbara, we're not here to perform miracles, but we will try our best to help, provided you can afford our services. First, we need to know how many children you have with your husband, the current state of your marriage, how long you were unfaithful, and how many partners you had." Tears filled my eyes as I said, "I've been divorced from Don for almost 3 years. We have 2 amazing daughters. I was unfaithful for over 3 years with 24 different partners." Gail and Paul exchanged another knowing look. This time, Gail said, "You probably came to us because we have a track record of helping people repair broken relationships. Part of our success is our personal experience with infidelity in our first marriages. We use methods that are different from what most therapists do. We sometimes worry about losing our licenses because of this. Other therapists often believe that problems in marriage come from both partners and encourage forgiveness and understanding. We also believe in forgiveness when appropriate. However, when that does not work, we use 2 other approaches: balance and accountability. In our sessions, especially with those who have made mistakes, we help them see how their actions affect their spouses or ex-spouses. For example, if a man has had a brief affair and his partner is open to it, he might help her explore new opportunities. We find that it often takes longer to find balance than the time spent in the affair, which can help provide a sense of fairness for the partner who was hurt. This can also include financial matters, where we work creatively to ensure the wronged partner is treated with respect. Additionally, we focus on accountability, where the partner who made the mistake needs to understand the emotional impact of their actions. We came across a situation where a man chose not to start another relationship while still married because he felt it would be wrong. Helping that couple was tough, but we managed to guide them toward making up, even though he was hesitant to blame his wife. In this case, the wife decided to take responsibility herself, which is becoming a usual approach among our clients. This often includes promises to talk openly, showing affection in public, and being more honest in their relationship. While their marriage still has problems, they are at least staying together. However, these extra efforts do not always work. The emotional pain felt by the hurt partner can be very intense. They struggle with feelings of betrayal, shame, and not being good enough. They also may have a strong belief that their spouse has damaged the marriage with their choices. "Barbara, your marriage has been over for a long time, and the situation was really difficult. We don't have much hope of helping you reach your goals. So given that, what do you want us to do?" I felt really sad hearing her say that. I had been hoping they could help, and I regretted not coming to them sooner. My divorce lawyer had recommended them to me long ago. What Gail said was pretty close to what I had expected after everything that had happened. "Gail, I would like 3 things from you. I need help with my relationship with my daughters as much as possible, support in overcoming my feelings of low self-worth, and the biggest request, which might be impossible, is to lessen the anger that my ex-husband feels toward me." It was the first time I called Don my ex-husband, and it hurt so much that I wanted to cry from the pain. We can probably help with that, Barbara, but you will have to share everything and it will take time. We charge $600 a session, and you will need 2 sessions a week for as long as it takes. So, amount it all up. We are quite pricey. Do you still want our help? That's fine, I can pay for it. Can we start now? They nodded, and I began sharing the hard story of my married life. I would have spent anything to have Don back in my life, even in some small way. The ice packs and medicine were helping to reduce the swelling in Don's hands. At this rate, he should be able to take care of himself by Tuesday evening. I wouldn't have a reason to stay over again. The stitches should be removed in about a week. We didn't have any plans for my house in the mountains this weekend, as this time of year is messy and muddy. My horses should be back in their mountain stables by the end of May or the start of June. So things got a little more complicated because I wouldn't see Don and my kids this weekend either. Maria, I had an idea. What is it, Don? Megan and Robin really like spending time with you. I thought since we're not going to the mountains this weekend, maybe I could cook here on Saturday. Would you like to come by this Saturday? I know the girls would be excited to see you. Don, I would really love to spend the weekend with you. I was so happy I could hardly believe it. I knew he didn't ask me to stay all weekend, but knowing Don, he might think I misunderstood, and that would be great for me. I can even bring the cheesecake if you want. Ah, the sound of cows in the morning, so nice. Much better than what they smell like. Wait, Don looks a bit puzzled. Is he going to mention my little oops? Maybe I went a bit too far? Maria, this is a kind of strange question, but did you just hear some cows mooing a minute ago? Yes, yes, yes. I'm not the only one who finds this funny. We'll get along perfectly, much better than he and Barbara ever did. Suddenly, a silly image of dancing cows filled my mind. I looked back at him, choosing not to respond. Anyway, I'd love for you to bring the cheesecake. He had that same confused look again. I'll remember that and ask him later. Don, do you hear cows when the cheesecake is mentioned? I'm still working on my new lemon meringue pie recipe, but I have a long way to go. Now I wondered what sound might come up with the lemon meringue pie once Don got it right because I believed he would. I guess I just have to wait and see. It's funny, though. I never hear turkeys when the turkey is brought up. On Tuesday night after dinner, I left Don alone. He wasn't picking up on my hints that I wanted to stay, but he had told me before that I could stay any time. Maybe he thought if I wanted to stay, I would just do it? I made a mistake on Thursday. I mentioned to Freddie that Dawn was making the turkey, thinking that since she's a vegetarian, it wouldn't matter. I was wrong. Freddie loves any meal she doesn't have to prepare, so she told Kathy and Vanessa, and they both called Dawn right away to ask if they could come. After he said yes, Dawn had to call Freddie to invite her too because everyone else was coming, and he promised her Dungeness crab for dinner, probably just like Freddie planned all along. Secretly, I was glad that Freddie had reached out to Kathy about the turkey. She had been staying away from us since her attempted kidnapping, and I was really worried about her. She came for dinner but avoided talking about that awful night. I wasn't sure if I should push her to discuss it. Aside from that, it was another lovely weekend. Don's hands were much better, and we played games, watched movies, danced on the new dance floor, went out to see a couple of new films, and generally had a great time. Here I was, encouraging my friends to get back to their own social lives, and Don's cooking brought them right back in like bait-luring fish. On Saturday evening, Don talked a lot about how he was almost finished planning and financing a new apartment building he planned to start building in a couple of months. Then, early on Sunday afternoon, trouble started when Don's cell phone rang. Hello? Don Hendricks speaking. Oh, hello, Eva. Of course I remember you. How have you been? Thank you for your kind words. No, as I said, Vanessa is just a good friend. Thursday night? Yes. I'm usually free on Thursdays. My friends were giving worried glances, and my hands were clenched tightly. What kind of club is it? Jazz, I would love to go. All right. I'll meet you at your club at 7 and we can go together. Thank you for the invite, Eva. See you Thursday. Goodbye. Frustration washed over me as Don turned back to us, smiling widely. It looks like you won't have to set me up on my first real date. Eva, who owns that ballroom dance club, just asked me out. It was hard to keep smiling. It's kind of nice to know someone is interested in me, especially in a romantic way, but it's a little scary, too. Want more turkey? We still have plenty left. The mood changed. No one had an appetite anymore. What did he mean by it being a relief that someone liked him? What about me and my friends? I wanted to ask about it, but Freddie placed her hand on mine and signaled for me to be quiet. Ava was feeling proud. The check she had done on Don Hendricks was complete, and he seemed like just the man she wanted. He was almost as good as her second husband, but not nearly as rich. George had been a good partner, and she had even managed to have 2 kids with him. But he had such old-fashioned ideas about marriage. She had kept her secrets from him for 5 years, and he found out only because of 2 strange coincidences. Thanks to the prenup, he got custody of the children, which she hadn't wanted anyway. But he took a big part of their shared wealth, and that truly hurt. Fortunately for her, when the club was built, it was put in her name. Don seemed even less aware of his surroundings than George had been. Ava thought if that ex-wife could trick him, she wouldn't have any trouble. Barbara had been openly seeing other men for 3 years without being discovered, and she had not cared for Don emotionally. Eva looked forward to helping Don feel more at ease in their relationship. She smiled to herself, thinking it might feel like a fresh start. Yes, Don would make a great partner to come home to. Of course, his daughters would need to move out, but she believed she could convince Don to send them back to Barbara. She thought that by being kind and playful, Don might want to create some space to avoid any awkward moments. Eva enjoyed a lively relationship and felt sure she could win Don's heart. I wanted answers about Eva from my friends, but they refused to talk until we returned to my condo. Vanessa even drove my SUV instead of riding with Freddie. They insisted on that. No matter how much I asked, Vanessa wouldn't share anything. She said Kathy would explain it all when we got to my condo. Finally, we were all in my home, gathered around the dining room table. Can someone please explain what's going on and why Don suggested that Eva was the only one who had feelings for him, even though some of us liked him too? Kathy spoke first. Maria, you need to remember that Don has a kind heart, but is sometimes unaware of social signs, especially with women. He takes things very literally. Picture this. You have some new friends, and there's one you really like. He calls you silly, and then says he'll teach you how to be smooth. Plus, he plans to set you up with someone else afterward. How would you feel? My stomach dropped, and I felt a wave of disappointment. But Don never really liked me like that, I argued. They all shared knowing glances. Freddie said, Maria, it was clear from the very first weekend we met him that he had feelings for you. We called Don oblivious, yet you never noticed how he looked at you. I don't believe it. Maria, you know how people have always said you resemble a famous Italian actress? Yes. Freddie took a DVD case out of her purse and placed it in the center of the table. It involved a famous male actor and a popular female actress. Megan and Robin say that from the moment he first met you until New Year's Eve, Don watched that DVD at least once each day. I still don't understand, Vanessa said, cutting in. We only talked about setting him up on dates right after Christmas. After that, he stopped watching the DVD completely. In fact, he even threw it away, but Megan saved it. My stomach felt uneasy as she continued. On New Year's Eve, Don drank more than usual, and when I helped him to his room, he looked at you and started softly singing a song. The song was Unchain My Heart. Now Megan says he listens to it all the time, and sometimes when you, Maria, are there but not paying attention, he gazes at you, and we can see his lips moving as he quietly sings it to himself. Oh no! I exclaimed as I jumped up, feeling the need to talk to Don right away. Kathy interrupted my thoughts. What are you doing, Maria? I have to get back to Don. I need to explain. Maria, please sit down. Are you ready to spend the night with him? What? No, I can't do that. Why not? Because of my past. You all know about it. I can't be with him until I tell him the truth, I said, tears streaming down my face. Freddie and Vanessa quickly moved to comfort me. Are you ready to share your past with him tonight? No, it's too soon. I'm not ready yet. Then rushing to see Don right now might not help. It could make things worse. What do you mean? What are you saying? You've mentioned that Don has very low self-esteem and struggles with confidence in relationships. We've all essentially told him he isn't appealing. Now, if you just run over there and try to say otherwise, he won't believe you. He might think you're saying nice things just to make him feel better. Words alone won't convince him. Unless you're ready to commit or explain your past, going over will likely do more harm than good. It could just make Don feel more upset and avoid everyone out of embarrassment. I broke down, crying at Kathy's words. Freddie, Vanessa, and Kathy stayed at my place that night, comforting me and sharing what they knew about Eva. They reassured me that I had nothing to fear, and that Don would soon see after just one date that Eva wasn't the right choice for him. She completely overlooked her own children, didn't she? On Monday evening, the secret security team of the PDA gathered to make sure they kept their promises to me. Freddie was in the parking lot of her studio, waiting for her friends. Kathy and Vanessa showed up almost at the same time. Freddie and Vanessa both welcomed Kathy with warm hugs when she got out of her car. "How are you, Kathy?" Freddie asked, showing concern, while Vanessa looked worried too. "I'm okay, really, but I want to talk about the emergency text you sent me about Maria and Don," Kathy replied. "Sure, but we will talk about you next, so don't try to leave. Regarding Maria and Don, there's a situation with his date, Eva, that we need to handle carefully." "Oh, what's happening?" they both asked. "To keep Eva or any other women from getting too close to Don, we need some assistance. My sister Helga has been working on different inventions. I wasn't supposed to say anything, but she sold some to the military and police. They call them non-lethal tools. I explained our situation to her, and Helga is excited to help. But if she helps, we will need to change how we do things while she is here." "What kind of changes?" Kathy asked cautiously. "You'll figure it out quickly, but when she is not around, we'll go back to my way of doing things." The two friends followed Freddie into the building, but instead of stopping in her studio, they moved to the storeroom. "Freddie, why are we going to your storeroom, and what's with the small desk and coat rack outside?" Vanessa asked. "I don't want to discuss it. Helga put those there. She has been busy in my studio all day creating a lot of excitement. I appreciate her energy, but she can be overwhelming." Kathy thought to herself, "You call her overwhelming while you've got us doing this security directorate thing and using code names like in Animal House. Then you wonder where she gets it from? This is going to make for quite an interesting paper." They were surprised when Freddie opened the door to the storeroom, revealing a small area with another door in front of them. Freddie opened the second door, and they stepped into what had changed from the old storeroom. Now, it looked like a real office. A large desk stood in front of them, with a cabinet filled with various items, 2 cozy chairs in front of the desk, and a framed poster of Big Ben with curtains that made the room feel more open. Helga was waiting for them, grinning widely. She wore a unique suit that added to her quirky charm. She stood up and greeted her guests with a forced British accent. "Hello, Em. I've been waiting for you." "Em, I had to give Bond a quick update first. We need to remember who's in charge," said Q. "Yes, quite right." Q turned to Kathy and said, "Good to see you again, Bond." Kathy felt happy inside. This was how it should be. Vanessa wondered what name she would get. Q turned to her and asked, "Moneypenny, Felix, Jinx, or something else?" Vanessa thought, I knew it. One name was gone, but she felt that a Bond movie needed a Moneypenny. Reluctantly, Vanessa answered, "Moneypenny." This made Q smile even more. M took over. "All right, let's get started. From what we've learned about Eva, she cares a lot about her looks. She goes to great lengths to look her best and often ignores more important things. She also loves wearing light silk dresses. Bond, Eva has never met you before, so that's why you have this mission. Please tell the rest, Q." Q pulled out a small canister with a long tube and a small nozzle. "This is a device I created to temporarily immobilize someone. It does not work perfectly, but it should be useful for this mission. When sprayed on a person, it makes their clothes cling to them and their hair look messy. It also contains a fast-acting glue. Although the glue isn't strong enough to hold someone still, it creates a look that seems permanent. It will make anyone sprayed look rather silly. Washing or dry cleaning will remove the glue, and it's safe for the environment and non-toxic." M continued, "Here's the plan, Bond. 008 will get her father's phone for a short time and bring it to Q in the parking lot. Q has another device to take control of Don's cell phone. On the night of their date, 008 will call her father. Q will be in the parking lot of the club and will adjust the connection to make Don leave the building for better reception. This would leave Ava alone, and you will use this chance to spray her with Q's device. Q and 008 will keep Don busy for at least 10 minutes. We believe Ava will be so uncomfortable that she will leave and go home instead of waiting for Don. Moneypenny, you already know Eva. As a friend, you can call her to congratulate her on dating Don. Mention how he likes to be driven around by stylish women in nice cars. This will appeal to her enjoyment of showing off her Jaguar and encourage her to bring her car to the club, making it easier for her to leave when she wants. Q, can you show Bond how to use the device? Please use the practice solution, not the real one. Helga, this is an important issue. Kathy, how are you managing with those people who upset you? You've been keeping to yourself for almost a week, and even when you visited Dawn on Saturday, you didn't want to talk about it. We're your friends, and we care about you. We want to help. So please tell us what's been happening. Maria is especially worried about you and Don. Kathy looked at Vanessa, who nodded in agreement. Even Helga, whom Kathy didn't know well, gave a supportive nod. Realizing her friends truly cared, Kathy paused before reluctantly sharing her troubles. It was tough for a few days. The attacker's parents began threatening legal action against Don and me, especially after what happened during the incident. Don acted to protect himself but caused some injuries, which made things worse. Kathy paused before continuing. At first, the parents seemed determined to defend their sons, but everything changed when the police got involved and searched their homes. I found out I wasn't the first person they targeted. They had evidence linking them to similar situations with 2 other girls. Sadly, those cases were much more serious. Her voice shook a bit as she added, "The first girl got hurt badly but couldn't remember much because she was so scared. Another girl tried to keep it to herself and felt guilty. It turned out they had been under the influence of something." With this new information, the attackers' families quickly backed off, realizing they couldn't defend their sons anymore. Their homes and vehicles were connected to the incidents, and while the people involved are in college and over 18, they still rely on their parents for support. The 2 girls they harmed now have legal help and are suing both the attackers and their families. It's unclear how it will all end, but we will just have to wait. The parents have given up on suing Don and me and are now remaining quiet, probably hoping we won't take action against them. The district attorney doesn't expect that I will have to testify because the families want to avoid the attention of a public trial. With all the evidence gathered, the case looks strong, so it's likely they will try to work out a deal to avoid the cost and trouble of going to court. Even so, the outcome will still be serious for their actions. Don and I haven't wanted to talk much about it since the DA advised us to be careful with what we say. The 2 girls really value their privacy and don't want this event to change how people see them. I've tried to move on, but sometimes I wake up scared, thinking about how different things could have been if not for Don's bravery and quick thinking. He has been really understanding and hasn't pressured me to talk about it. I appreciate that, but I know I should have opened up to you sooner. I've been avoiding you all because I wanted to forget. Freddie finally spoke, her voice steady yet caring. Kathy, you're only making it harder on yourself by keeping everything inside. You know from your studies how important it is to talk about things. It doesn't have to be with us, but you need support. We're like family, even if we're not related. Last week, we all tried visiting your apartment many times and left a lot of messages without a reply. We care about you. If you ever feel really down, even in the middle of the night, just call one of us, even Maria. Got it? Kathy nodded, clearly touched. Thank you, everyone. I promise I'll try. Freddie continued. Maybe you should think about staying with one of us for a bit. We all have extra rooms and you already have keys to our places. If home gets too much, just come over. We're always here for you. I'll let Maria know what you've shared with us. She's been really worried about you and asking if we found out anything about that difficult night. You might think she's only focused on Dawn, but she cares a lot about you. Even if you don't want to tell her everything, maybe give her a call so she can hear your voice and know you're okay. Okay, I understand, and I'm really sorry for making you all worry about me. Thank you so much for being such good friends. We love you, Kathy. Like I said, even though we're not related, I've always thought of you as a sister, just like Helga. Helga joked, "Hey, I look like one." But Freddie just smiled at her and carried on. I know Maria feels the same way, and as for Vanessa, well, I think she's a bit different. Vanessa replied with a playful grin, "We aliens don't have sisters, just friends from the same group. And Kathy, you're one of them. With all this sisterly talk, we should do our special handshake. It's been a while." Freddie happily agreed. "Yes, that's a great idea." Kathy just stepped back in surprise while Helga asked, "What special handshake?" I'm feeling confused. "My friends have promised me that everything will be okay, but my Don is going on a real date with another woman." I felt upset inside while I made dinner at his apartment, waiting for him to return home on Wednesday evening. What made it worse was that my friends had made me believe I had hurt his feelings. I sensed right away that he had a strong reaction to me when we first met, but he seemed to calm down quickly. I thought it was just a passing feeling, not something deeper. Before Megan and Robin got home from school, I looked around his apartment, hoping to find something that would prove my friends right. I discovered a CD labeled My Music in his bedside radio. It only had 2 songs on it, one by Ray Charles and the other by Joe Cocker, both versions of Unchain My Heart. What had I done? Eva was feeling happy. Don had told her she looked great and had admired her car. He seemed relaxed as he enjoyed the comfortable seats with her driving. Vanessa had been a good friend by sharing Don's interests with her. Eva was so thrilled that she decided to playfully touch his thigh. When she moved close, he blushed, clearly feeling a little flustered. Is it too soon to think about moving something forward tonight? She wondered. She had gone on many first dates, but she hoped Don would be special. I'll just have to see how the evening unfolds, she decided. Things were going well at the jazz club. You look amazing in that blue dress, Ava. Thank you, Don. You look nice, too. She felt a bond growing. Do you enjoy jazz, Don? Yes, I do, but I don't listen to it often. I don't know why. Other types of music bring out feelings, happiness, sadness, anger, all of it. Sometimes I just want to enjoy the sound without feeling too much. With jazz, I can do that. I can really lose myself in the music. Don raised his eyebrows and smiled. It's a cool experience. I'm glad you like jazz and decided to join me tonight. I'm really into the local scene and can show you a lot of great spots, Eva said, lightly touching the back of Don's hand. Don suddenly felt uneasy and switched to a safer topic. Vanessa told me you have 2 children from your first marriage. I bet they're just as lovely as you. That was a nice compliment, but why did he have to mention her kids? Yes, my children are quite beautiful. I couldn't believe how much they've grown when I saw them a month ago. She noticed his expression change. Don furrowed his brow and took a sip of his soda water to collect his thoughts. Oh, what grades are they in at school? Inside, she thought, I want you to talk about me. Things were going so well, why did you have to change the subject? I think my youngest is in 3rd grade and my oldest is in 5th. She noticed he still had a frown. Suddenly, Don's phone rang. Hello? Hi, Megan, I can barely hear you. Megan, I lost the connection. He tried to call her back, but the signal dropped again. I'm really sorry, Eva. I need to step outside to get a better signal. My daughter called, and I want to check on her. I'll be back soon. Kathy, quietly watching from the back of the room, received a message that the plan was starting. She walked calmly to Eva's table, with a small device attached to her belt under her jacket. A thin tube led from it down her sleeve, ending at her wrist. Kathy curled her fingers and positioned the nozzle so it was just past her fingertips. As she walked slowly behind Eva's chair, Kathy used the device to spray her from her knees to the top of her head with smooth, practiced movements. She and her friend had practiced this for hours to make sure it worked well. The effect was quick. Eva suddenly felt uncomfortable, as if her clothes were too tight. She stood up to see what was wrong with her outfit. What is happening with my clothes? This clinginess is worse than ever. My dress is sticking in a way that feels all wrong. When she patted her hair, it felt puffy. People began to look at her, some even chuckling. She rushed to the ladies' room and gasped when she saw her reflection in the mirror. Her hair looked messy, almost like a funny character on a stage, and her dress was clinging awkwardly. Thank goodness I prepared, she thought as she pulled a dryer sheet from her purse to try and fix the clinginess. But it didn't help at all. She splashed water on her hair and clothes, but nothing changed. Other women in the restroom began to giggle and offer advice that wasn't helpful. "I need to get out of here. I am Eva, owner of a top club in Seattle. If anyone finds out about this, I'll be a laughingstock." She felt embarrassed, not wanting Don to see her in this state, but since she had brought him here, she felt she should check to see if he was back. Meanwhile, Don was helping his daughter with a computer issue that someone had coached her on, helping her finish her homework. The signal trouble had forced him to walk far away from the club for a better connection. Eva quickly looked around the club and, not seeing Don, left through the back door to return home, muttering that he could just take a taxi. Happy to have helped his daughter, Don returned to his table. Not seeing Eva there, he thought she might be in the bathroom. He waited for almost half an hour before deciding to call her on her cell phone. Luckily, his phone was showing a good signal. However, when he called Eva, there was no answer. Feeling awkward, he asked several women going into the restroom to check if they saw her. They returned and said she wasn't there. Finally, Don thought he should check the parking lot for Eva's car, only to find it was gone. He tried to call her again, and still didn't get an answer. Thinking about what had happened to Kathy, he began to worry that something might be wrong with Eva. He thought about calling the police, but chose to take a taxi back to Eva's club to look for her. During the ride, he kept trying to reach her phone without any luck, not knowing that another car was following him closely. No one at the club had seen her. So, Don decided to give Eva one more call, thinking that if she didn't respond this time, he would reach out to the police. "Eva, is that you? Are you okay? I've been really worried. What happened?" "Do you need help?" It had been a tough night, and Don was sincerely worried. "Oh, Don, it was awful. My clothes and my hair, it was all so embarrassing." Thinking it might be something small, Don asked, "Calm down, Eva. What happened?" "My hair was all frizzy, and my dress felt so tight. It was just so embarrassing." He was confused for a moment. "Eva, are you talking about static cling?" "Yes, but it was the worst case I've ever experienced." "Eva, why didn't you just stay in your car or answer me when I called?" Don asked, feeling frustrated. He was already uneasy about her earlier mentions of her children. And now this? "Eva, you are a lovely lady, but I'm not sure we are a good match. People see things differently, and it feels like we just don't connect. I care deeply about my children, and it seems like yours don't take up as much of your thoughts. Thank you for the date. You looked beautiful. I hope you can enjoy the rest of your evening. You're a wonderful person, and I believe you'll find someone who is better suited for you." He could feel the truth in his words. Their differences regarding their children were too great. "You're right, Don. You are a lovely man and a great dancer, but I can see I overlooked how important it is to have similar personalities. Even though it seems we won't become close friends, I hope you won't avoid me, and I would love for you to keep coming to my club. You can count on it, Eva, but I will say goodbye now." "Goodbye, Donald." Don ended the call feeling relieved. That was a close call. Now he needed to clear his mind about the troubling conversation. Q, who had listened to the call, contacted M to report the successful completion of the first mission. Q hoped for more chances to test her inventions. They were so enjoyable. I sat on my bed, holding my pillow and rocking back and forth. I had waited too long and been too scared, and now I felt like I might lose him. Just then, my cell phone rang. I nearly ignored it until I saw it was Don calling. "Hi, Maria, can we talk?" "Sure, Don." "Thank you, Maria. I really need to share something. You know I haven't been on many real dates except with my ex-wife, but tonight's date was so disappointing that I need to see if this is normal." I felt a wave of relief, like spring had come into my room with flowers blooming and birds singing. Trying to sound concerned while hiding my happiness, I said, "Tell me all about it, Don." It must have been tough. First, the woman was the most self-centered person I have ever met. "Oh, really? That's too bad. She hardly pays any attention to her own kids. How can a mother act like that? What would she be like around my daughters? I could never be close to someone like that." "That's not right. You deserve better than that. I totally agree. No one like that should be around Megan and Robin." During our date, Megan called, and I stepped outside to get a better signal. While I was gone for just a moment, she left the club without saying anything. I had to take a cab back to my car. It took over an hour to reach her, and she came up with a strange excuse about feeling uncomfortable. Have you ever heard that one before? This just keeps getting better. She leaves Dawn and says it's because she felt uncomfortable. Goodbye, Eva. I've never heard of anything like that. She must not be quite right. Was there anything you liked about your date? Let's see. She wore a nice blue dress, but that didn't change how self-centered she was. She drove a nice car and took me to a jazz club, which I enjoyed. I like jazz too, and I appreciate all kinds of music. So there were a few good things about the night, but not enough. I decided not to see her again, and I hope to avoid being alone with her. Oh, so you like blue dresses? What can I say? I prefer when women wear dresses instead of pants. Blue is really nice, but I also like red, yellow, black, actually. All colors are nice. However, I think green is my favorite. I made a mental note. Dawn likes green. For the next 40 minutes, I had a wonderful chat with Dawn that really brightened my mood, and I slept well that night. We talked briefly about Robin's birthday coming up and decided to celebrate the weekend before, since her birthday is on a Monday. We would probably do the same for Megan's birthday next month since it falls on a Tuesday. Plus, this weekend, they are all coming over to my condo to enjoy the facilities at my complex, especially the pool. The management has decorated the pool area to look like a tropical paradise with potted palm trees and other decorations. Megan and Robin will love it, and I'll finally get to see Don in the new swimsuit I bought for him. I just wish I had my own abs back in shape, but I'm working on it. I felt a bit uneasy about going to Maria's condo for the weekend. It felt different than visiting her mountain home, but Megan and Robin were very excited. According to Maria, the pool area was beautifully decorated, making it easy to imagine ourselves in the Caribbean instead of dealing with Seattle's cold, rainy weather. Having Maria as a friend was one of the best things that happened to the three of us. I just wish we could have a closer bond. Maria greeted us at the entrance of her building and took us directly to the security desk. She informed the staff that we were her special guests and that we should have access to all the complex facilities, including her condo. The guards even took digital pictures of the three of us in case we arrived without our keys. I thought it was a bit much from Maria, but it was very kind of her. The pool was huge, probably twice the size of an Olympic swimming pool. It was on the roof and completely enclosed. It had an interesting, twisty design with areas for serious swimming and places for relaxation. Maria mentioned that they sometimes opened the roof on nice days. There was a bar in one corner and a grill restaurant in another, plus a buffet table set up against the wall far from the pool. A small band was playing cheerful music by the bar. Tables, chairs, and lounge chairs filled the area. I started to wonder how much Maria's annual maintenance fees were for this place. We took the elevator up to the pool area, wearing robes over our swimsuits and flip-flops on our feet. When we took off our robes, I was amazed by how stunning Maria looked. For a moment, my interest in Don came back strong. I thought about the pool nearby and my wish to get to know him better. Unchain my heart, baby. Let me be. Maria had been looking at me in a strange way. Suddenly, her face changed to one of surprise and concern. She hurried away without saying anything, heading to the restroom. Oh no, I must have made her uncomfortable just when things were getting better. Great job, Don, you clumsy guy. I couldn't believe it. He had actually sung that song while looking at me. His heart was probably hurting, but I couldn't tell him that I cared for him too, not yet. I wasn't ready to share my past. I needed to think things through. Admit it, Maria. You need help. It's time to see a therapist. I rushed to the restroom and locked myself in a stall. Get a grip, Maria. Don will think you're upset, and your friends will wonder what's wrong. You don't have much time. Pull yourself together. I used all my training to calm down and put on a smile, and I got out of the restroom in less than 10 minutes. Don was waiting outside the door, looking worried. Maria, I want to apologize for staring at you that way. You're just so beautiful that I couldn't help myself. I'm really sorry. If you want me to go home and leave the girls here for the weekend, I can do that if it makes you feel better. I wanted to hug him and share my feelings, to run back into the restroom and let everything out. Instead, I lightly touched his cheek. Don, you didn't upset me at all. I was actually flattered that you found me attractive. I just had a bit of an upset stomach and I'm stressed about some personal stuff. That's why I had to step away. Please don't think it was your fault, it really wasn't. And I'm sorry if it seemed that way. So don't even think about leaving. I would be really upset if you did. It would make me feel like I scared you away, and I'd have a terrible weekend without you. Okay, if you're sure. I'm absolutely sure. All right, but if you need help with those personal matters that are stressing you, I'd be happy to help if you want. Thank you, Don. Someday, I might take you up on that. I took his hand, wanting him to know that I was okay, and that I didn't want him to pull away. It felt natural for friends to support each other. I stayed close to Don all weekend, especially at the pool. He looked great in his swimwear, and was definitely the best-looking guy there. Many of the other women were watching him, and I felt the need to stay alert. I didn't want anyone to forget about our friendship. That weekend, I decided to take care of breakfast, and we enjoyed meals by the pool. For dinner on Friday and lunch on both days, we had a great time outside. I treated everyone to dinner on Saturday and Sunday at two of my favorite places. I asked everyone to dress nicely, and Megan and Robin had such fun picking out their outfits with my help. They looked amazing, like bright stars. They were really excited to go to these special restaurants, and I was happy to see Don in the nice clothes I picked for him, too. He looked fantastic. I might need to buy him a suit for formal events soon. I didn't want to drive, so I thought it would be fun for Megan and Robin if we took limousines both nights. I was right. They were so happy. Just stick with me, kids, and I'll show you the world. The staff at both restaurants came to chat with us and asked why I hadn't been around lately. I pointed to Don and joked that his cooking kept me at home more. One of the hostesses at a restaurant looked at Don and turned to me saying, "And he cooks too?" I realized I needed to be careful about all the attention he was getting, especially from other women. We all had a lovely time at Maria's condo, even with the cloudy skies. A getaway to a tropical paradise was wonderful. Maria seemed to really want to take care of me that entire weekend. I felt she was trying to make up for her earlier odd behavior. I talked to her briefly about Robin's upcoming birthday on the 18th because I wanted to celebrate a little early. Maria happily offered to handle the plans and asked me to bring some special game equipment when we came over. On Tuesday night at Vanessa's gym, one of her customers, Gwen, came over to me. "Hey, Don, did you bring any cookies tonight? You'll need to ask Vanessa if there are any left. I don't leave them at the front desk anymore. I keep them in her office. She says that's the only way to make sure each person gets just one. I only took 3 that one time, and now she's giving out less. How's your workout going?" "Pretty good. I'm running at 8 miles an hour now. I was happy at 7.5, but Vanessa keeps pushing me." "Yes, Vanessa can be pretty strict, but she gets results, and that's why so many people go to her. Don, do you have any plans this weekend?" "I'm not sure yet. What about you? Any plans?" "No, I'm free on Friday and Saturday night." Was she hinting she wanted me to ask her out? I hesitated and said, "Friday night." "Why, Don, I would love to go out with you Friday night. Here's my address and my phone number. Can you pick me up at 7? A bit confused, I replied, "Sure." I wasn't sure if I had asked her out or if she had asked me. Vanessa came back from the restroom just as Gwen walked away. "What were you and Gwen talking about?" she asked. "Just some small talk. But I think I might have plans with her for Friday night. I hope this one goes better than my last date." Vanessa looked a bit surprised when I mentioned my plans, taking a moment to respond. "Oh, I hope it goes well for you. What time are you meeting her?" 7 p.m. at her house. I'll call her to see what we'll do. For some reason, Vanessa changed my workout for the night, making it a bit tougher, almost like she wanted to challenge me more. "Don, it's Maria." "Hi, Maria. How's it going?" "Pretty good, thanks. Don, this weekend is not great for horseback riding in the mountains. Since we had such a fantastic time at my place, I thought we could go there again and celebrate Robin's party, too." "That sounds great, Maria. Thank you. I'm sure Megan and Robin will love it. Tell them to bring nice clothes again, and you should bring your good suits." "Okay, but I have a small issue." "Oh, what's that, Don?" "I hate to ask, but can I drop the girls off early Friday evening? I have a date that night at 7. "Maria, are you still there?" "Of course, Don. Sorry. Another call came in for a moment. I'd be happy to watch the kids, and after your outing, you can come back and share all about it." "Thanks, Maria. I really appreciate it. I'm not sure how this date came about, but she seems nice." "Sure, I guess I'll see you tonight for the girls' group meeting." "Thanks a lot, Maria. See you tonight." Vanessa, it's Maria. Don has another date. What do I do? Maria exclaimed. MI5 Satellite Office, Seattle, Washington. Wednesday evening. The sounds of Big Ben were clear in the office. Moneypenny, do you have anything to share? Yes, Em. Gwen has successfully convinced Don to go out with her. They have plans for this Friday night at 7. Gwen is quite a concern. I know you like her, Moneypenny, but she is influenced by the evil twins, and they've been after Maria since the 3 girls met. Those 2 have always been jealous of Maria's success, and they were the ones who tried to hinder her career. They believed they were just as attractive as Maria, which might be true, but they never understood why she was often chosen for opportunities and received the attention. They never realized that being good at this job meant having the right attitude, and they acted like a clumsy dog with a bad mood. The way Joanne and Anna behaved made it hard to believe they were even friends. Bond jumped in. Anna sees Joanne as a leader and accepts her role. They look alike and are clever, but Joanne is truly sharp and Anna knows it. Just look at how they got Gwen to help them without her knowing the whole truth. Many have tried to warn Gwen about them, but she's completely caught up in what they want. I can't understand how some people can be so full of themselves, thinking every small problem is a personal attack. That's how Joanne and Anna function. If things don't go their way, they find someone to blame. For their modeling failures, they blame Maria and are still seeking revenge. That's why I have never welcomed them into my group. They've never been openly unkind to me, but what they did to Maria makes them my rivals too. Gwen, though, is really nice and sees the best in everyone. She's a great person, and I wouldn't mind her friendship if it weren't for her ties to those 2. The problem is that whatever she learns, they find out right away. They have a lot of influence over her. It's likely they know about Don and Maria and might have suggested she ask him out, Bond said. Well, then we need to look out for her. Q, do you have any ideas? Of course. Moneypenny, do you ever have lunch with Gwen? Yeah, at least once a week. Great. I've got something that might help. Bond, Moneypenny, can I have your attention? Q pulled out a small device from her bag that looked like a shiny candy dispenser. This gadget releases a special herbal pellet I created. The pellets dissolve quickly when they come into contact with air. If you mix 1 or 2 into Gwen's food, she won't even notice. It's much faster than sprinkling herbs. Let me show you how it works. Q demonstrated by releasing 2 pellets into her hand quickly and accurately. You can try using it, but remember there are only 10 pellets left inside and it's a bit tricky to refill. Moneypenny asked, What do the pellets do? I don't want to hurt her. Oh, I should have mentioned that. The pellets will cause a little discomfort. Specifically, they might lead to some gas, especially if she has meat that day. 2 to 4 hours after taking the small pill, she would feel a lot of discomfort. This feeling would last for another 4 hours. While it would not hurt her in the long run, it would be quite unpleasant for her in the moment. I sometimes use a much smaller dose myself. Just so you know, the most you should take is 2 pills. Taking 3 could cause serious stomach pain. M spoke again. Moneypenny, between 2 and 3 on Friday afternoon, you will take Gwen out for a late lunch. You can say it's to share what you know about Don and give her some helpful advice. Bond, if you are free, you might join Moneypenny. One of you can keep her busy while the other adds in the special ingredient. You're right, Vanessa. This little restaurant really does serve the best authentic Mexican food I've had in ages. Thanks for inviting me. It's great to see you too, Kathy. It's been a while. Good to see you, Gwen. I'm sorry I'm late and that we couldn't get here until 3. Not a problem, Kathy. Excuse me, everyone. I need to use the restroom, but don't touch my food while I'm gone, Gwen joked as she walked away. Vanessa and Kathy shared a knowing glance. This felt too easy, like taking candy from a child. At 6:30, just as Don was heading to pick her up, an unexpected situation hit Gwen. Oh no, why doesn't this stop? The smell is going to make me feel sick. Hi, Don, it's Gwen. I'm not feeling well and need to cancel our date. I'll talk to you later, okay? Bye. By that time, Don was near Gwen's house. He decided to drive by to have a look for future reference. Feeling uncomfortable at home, Gwen decided to take a run in the nearby park for some fresh air and relief. She left her house, completely unaware that she was about to begin the longest run of her life. Not recognizing Don's car, she ran right past it. Dawn, however, easily spotted Gwen as she sprinted toward the park. She looked like she was struggling. Only someone who wasn't feeling well would run that fast. He didn't notice how animals seemed to keep their distance from her, and how people were surprised as she dashed by. "Dawn, what are you doing back so soon?" I was shocked. He had left less than an hour after dropping off Megan and Robin. I guess I'm not so good at this dating thing. I thought Gwen wanted to go out with me, but she called at the last minute to say she was sick. I was so close to her house that I decided to drive by and saw her out running. I don't know anyone who runs away when they're feeling sick. I'm really sorry, Dawn, that your dates haven't gone well. I'm sure you'll meet the right woman soon. And guess what? That woman is me. When I talked to Vanessa on Wednesday, she assured me not to worry because she, Freddie, and Kathy would handle things. Are they trying to mess with Dawn's luck? Maria, you've probably already eaten, right? I can just step out to grab something quickly. No, don't worry about that. There's a great pizza place that delivers nearby. I also have some of Carl's beer. Just sit down and relax after your tough evening, and we can watch some TV. I saw a couple of shows on the History Channel or TCM that you might enjoy. Thanks, Maria. I really wasn't sure about this date, but her canceling last minute is a bit rude. Oh, my poor guy's date was a disappointment. Such a pity. That Saturday night, we all went to a fancy restaurant that I know well, and again we had a driver. At the end of the meal, when the cake came out, some staff members joined us to sing Happy Birthday to Robin. When Robin blew out the candles, everyone, including the other diners, clapped. Robin looked like she was having a great time, and I wanted to show off my family, but I felt nervous. Surely someone here knew about my past. What if they came over or started speaking loudly? How would I handle that? After the cake, we returned to my condo, and Robin started opening her gifts. She received the usual things: clothes, video games, CDs, and DVDs. I had 2 extra gifts for her, one big and the other small. I handed her the small one first. She opened it and cried when she read the inscription in the lovely platinum locket that I had Kevin order for me. Inside was a picture of Robin, Megan, and me blowing out the candles on my cake with the words, "Thank you, Robin, for letting me be a part of your life. All my love, Maria. May 18th, 09. After giving me a big hug, she opened the second box. Inside was a special Nerf gun made by Freddie's inventive sister, Helga. It had a quick-change ammo drum that held 100 rounds. Dawn and Megan were excitedly getting their toys out, and I quickly grabbed mine. I looked at her and asked playfully, "Do you feel lucky?" After 2 hours of laughter and fun, our neighbors called security on us. Those party poopers. I secretly arranged for Helga to make a special toy for Megan's birthday, too. Of course, I made sure I would get one, too. He. On Sunday, we had another party, but this time I cooked everything. I made lasagna, Italian sausage from Dawn, mushrooms, and garlic bread. For dessert, I served cheesecake while listening to the soft sounds of cows in the distance. Then, on Monday morning, I woke up early to make breakfast since we had a long drive to school. We sang Happy Birthday to Robin. Dawn went straight to work from my place while I took my girls to school. Robin was proudly wearing her locket. I knew she would probably take it off later so Barbara wouldn't see it tonight, but that was okay. Hello? Is this Don Hendricks? Yes, it is. How can I help you? Mr. Hendricks, my name is Anna Wainwright. I'm an interior designer. We have some friends in common who recommended you to me. I used to work with Freddie and Vanessa during my modeling career. I saw the websites you've created, and I was very impressed, especially the one for Freddie. I would like you to design a website for me. I don't do that professionally, Miss Wainwright. I was just helping some friends. Please call me Anna. Can I call you Don? That's fine, Anna. Don, I was hoping we could trade services. I heard you're building a new apartment building. I could help you with the interior design by suggesting colors, flooring, and other things to attract renters. This way, you could fill the apartments faster, and I could save some money. Anna, that sounds like a good idea. A trade for services is appealing. I'm glad you think so, Don. Can we meet this week to talk about it? I'm usually busy, but I'm free after 8 tonight if that works for you. Don, today is Monday. Can't we meet this evening? Sure, I can meet tonight. I didn't want to rush you. Great. I'll text you my address and we can meet at my place at 8 tonight. Does that work? That sounds good, Anna. I'll see you at 8. Anna thought Joanne was right. If she had tried to buy his services, he might have said no, but he was open to a trade. Maria always landed the best jobs and boyfriends, and was the star of every show we worked on together. But after her parents passed away, she faced challenges that affected her deeply. We made sure to let others know about her situation, which hurt her reputation after we found out what she was doing. That changed everything for her. Then she met Richard, who helped her turn her small savings into a lot of money. When she divorced Richard, it felt like the same story again. So we made sure to share the tale of the double mint girl. Now everyone in town knows her. A couple of weeks ago, Gwen told us she saw Maria at the gym with a handsome guy, so Joanne hired a private investigator to check on Maria again. It turns out Maria has been spending time with Mr. Hendricks and his daughters. Well, I plan to get close to Donnie. He looks impressive in his pictures, so I might keep him around. Hi, I'm Don Hendricks. Is this still a good time to meet? Of course, Don. Thanks for coming over on such short notice. Please come in. Would you like a drink? No, thank you. Since my project is still in the planning stage, I thought we could talk about your website first. I have a copy of the blueprints for my new building for you, and you can look at those later. I hope you can share some ideas about the interior layout. That sounds great, Don. Please, let's go to my office so we can work on my computer. I can show you some pictures of my work, and we can discuss details like you suggested. As they worked over the next 2 hours, Anna grew more frustrated with Maria. Here was another nice guy who seemed to be easily influenced by her. Don listened well to Anna's ideas and requests, which made her feel better about herself, especially when he praised her work. Eventually, they needed a break, so Anna went into the kitchen to make coffee. Don followed her, still discussing his thoughts. Anna, in terms of the effects that... Suddenly, Anna had an idea. She had a pot of water that she was about to pour into the coffee maker. Without thinking too much, she pretended to slip on the floor, splashing water onto Don. Oh, Don, I'm so sorry. Let me get you a towel. You'll want to dry off, and I can take care of your wet shirt. Don, moving away from Anna's helpful hands, quickly replied, It's fine, Anna. My daughters often say that I'm all wet, so I'm used to it. I have some clean workout clothes in my SUV. I'll change, if that's okay. Of course, but it's quite cool outside now. Why don't you change here? I can get your sweats. It's the least I can do, and I insist. Let me show you to the guest bedroom. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate it. Don decided to only take off his shirt while waiting for Anna. He didn't want her to see him in his undershirt since he hardly knew her. Anna walked down the hallway with Don's gym bag, wanting to surprise him when she entered the room. Don, I've got your clothes. Oh, she hadn't expected this. He looked good, even though it wasn't what she had imagined. I'll just leave them here. You take your time, and I'll put your clothes in the dryer. After a little while, Don came out in his sweats, carrying his gym bag. Anna, I just put my wet clothes in my bag. I hate to say it, but it's getting late for a work night, and I need to head home. If you'd like, we can exchange emails during the week about your website design, and we can talk on the phone, too. Then, next Monday night, we can meet in person again to go over things. Sounds good to me, Don. You're right. It is getting late. She wished for a bit more time to enjoy Don's company. Okay, then. I'll see you next week, Anna. Goodbye, Don. Thanks for your help, and I'm sorry about your clothes. Anna stood on her tiptoes to show her gratitude, playfully blowing a light breath in his direction. She liked seeing the slight blush on his cheeks. Thanks again for coming by. I can't wait to see you next week. What should I make for dinner this Wednesday for Don? He enjoys many kinds of food, so how about broiled salmon, twice-baked potatoes, asparagus, and mushrooms? I mustn't forget the mushrooms. Don really likes them. And for dessert, cheesecake. The thought of all those ingredients made her happy. My therapist has been helping me see things more clearly, making me feel better about myself and my quirks. But I don't think I should mention my odd thoughts. He might find them strange. I've got time for another half hour on the treadmill, and then I need to go shopping for tonight's dinner, later at Don's apartment. Maria, I can't say enough how much I love coming home to a meal that I didn't have to cook. Don, you've said this before. I know you appreciate it. And after all the great meals you've made for me, it makes me very happy to do this for you. I had another nice evening at Don's. He watched a movie with the three of us and then went to bed, which was becoming a usual thing. He was even getting comfortable with my friendly gestures while sitting on the couch with his daughters. I made sure they all knew the coming weekend would be fun in the mountains. The plan was to meet at Don's at 6 p.m. for the drive to my home. Freddie might come. I wasn't sure about Kathy and Vanessa. Only Freddie showed up at my apartment for our weekend drive to Maria's. The five of us all rode in Maria's SUV to the mountains, and she was excited to start my lessons in horseback riding on Saturday. Maria asked me to drive because she wanted to play Yahtzee with my daughters. Freddie knew I didn't want to drive and offered to help, but Maria and I quickly said no. I bought a riding helmet at the Lodge ski shop, or maybe it was now a horse shop. Maria gave me a teasing look when I went to pay. She said my work boots weren't very good and told me that next Wednesday night after my girls' therapy session, we would stop by a saddlery to find me a pair of riding boots. I think she also mentioned getting Megan and Robin their own saddles. We'll see about that. She spends too much money on us. But maybe it is about staying safe and comfortable if that's the case. I don't mind paying, unless she brings Roscoe along. Maria wanted to get me ready with my instructor before the four of them went for their ride. Megan and Robin were excited to finally ride Maria's horses instead of the calmer ones the lodge rented out. I wished they would just leave. It felt awkward that my 11-year-old daughter was trying to ease my nerves. Megan was just smiling. Nancy was waiting in her office to speak with us. Don, I didn't get to be your ski instructor or see you much during ski season. I just want to take this chance to thank you again for the great food you made on New Year's Eve. And to thank you, Maria, for inviting me. Otherwise, I would have been home alone watching TV. Maria responded, I'm happy you could come, Nancy, because Don made way too much food for us, and you were wonderful company. If you really want to thank me for the food, please go easy on me now. Nancy smiled. I promise to be nice. Do you have a horse you prefer? Just something easygoing. Oh, you're one of those riders. I don't meet many like you. Is this all Maria's idea? Don just stays home. He needs to get out more, Maria explained. All right, I will do my best. She called out to the stable. Henry, get Joe ready. Maria looked a bit glum while Megan and Robin started to laugh. Nancy is going to put you on Joe. I shot them a look. One piece of advice, never laugh at the person who makes the pie and helps with your allowance. They just laughed even more. A man came out leading a big light brown horse. He was huge, but he seemed calm. Nancy introduced us. Don, this is Joe. He is the gentlest and laziest horse in the stable. He's known for being relaxed with riders. Just my kind of horse. He's a gelding, if that means anything to you. With that, my friends decided to get their own horses and set off into the sunny day, which would be quite an adventure since the sun was high in the sky. Nancy stepped away for a moment to talk to Maria. I think they were discussing how to attach solid rocket motors to the horses for a special sunset effect. Just imagine, my little girls could become astronauts one day. I felt so proud. While Nancy was gone, I was left alone with Joe, the horse, who just stood there quietly. Following my plan, I grabbed an apple from my bag. I had a hard time explaining to my friends and daughters why I wanted to bring my small gym bag, so I told a little white lie about just packing a jacket and some water bottles. I quickly peeled the apple and cut it into pieces before giving it to Joe. I think I even got him to open his eyes. I already liked this horse. When Nancy came back, she gave me some more advice. While Joe is resting, get close to him so he can get used to your smell. Since he's calm, it might take about 20 minutes for him to really relax. I'll be back then. She began to turn to leave. Nancy? She looked back at me. I brought you something to thank you for teaching me. I know you usually don't spend time with beginners. I reached into my bag and pulled out 2 large bags full of cookies, some chocolate chip and some white chocolate macadamia nut. I opened the bag with white chocolate, letting the sweet smell reach her. Her eyes brightened up just like Joe's. Wow, Don, thank you so much. This is much better than an apple for the teacher. I had apples too, but I planned to save those for Joe. She took a cookie, took a bite, walked off, then turned back to grab another cookie before finally leaving. I put both bags on her desk. Joe was looking at me as if he was expecting something. but I wasn't sure if cookies were okay for horses. I did have sugar cubes, so I gave him one. Then I took another apple, cut it into quarters, and sprinkled some sugar on each piece. When I fed the apple to Joe, he closed his eyes, and it seemed like he was really enjoying it. When Nancy returned, she noticed that Joe looked alert and was sniffing around me. She raised an eyebrow. "You didn't give Joe a cookie, did you?" "No, I wasn't sure if it would be good for him." For the next couple of hours, with breaks in between, Nancy taught me how to lead Joe, sit on him, and walk him around, all while helping me correct my posture. She didn't seem completely convinced yet. Maybe next time I should bring a dessert. After a while, my friends and family arrived for a late lunch. When no one was watching, I gave Joe another apple. We were going to be great friends. I was pleasantly surprised the lodge restaurant had a pretty good Philly cheesesteak sandwich. From everything I've read about riding horses, I expected to be sore after my first time. I hadn't really ridden much. In fact, it was hardly at all. I made sure to stretch every time Nancy gave me a short break. I felt a bit bored, but I wasn't sore. After lunch, Maria, Freddie, and my daughters went for another ride while I returned to Joe. Before Nancy got back, I gave him another peeled and quartered apple. I planned to give him a nice treat at the start of the day, a regular treat at the end of a lesson, one when I resumed, and another at the end of the day. I knew I might be going too far by not asking Nancy, but I felt a bit unsure about how much I should treat Joe. It was while I was thinking this that Nancy came by. "Don, what are you doing?" "Nothing, I'm just standing here, minding my own business. I'm not doing anything wrong. I wouldn't treat Joe with apples without your permission." Maybe I shouldn't have said that last part. She looked at me with doubt. "Don, how many apples have you fed Joe today?" "I haven't given him 4 peeled and quartered apples." "Don, can I see that bag of yours?" Why did I feel like a student being asked about snacks? She looked in the bag and laughed. "What are you, some kind of horse treat supplier? There are 2 pounds of sugar cubes in here and another dozen apples." "I'll let you off this time for 2 reasons. 1, you brought cookies, and 2, I've never seen Joe so lively. From now on, give him only half an apple at a time, maybe 4 times a day. As for the sugar, only 2 cubes a day. Since you brought cookies, I won't tell Maria and your daughters about the treats." "Thanks, Nancy." Phew, close call. But if Joe doesn't feel well, guess who I'll ask to help with his stall? That could be tricky. When we got back home from riding, I was surprised to see Carl and Lucille there. They had cooked dinner, serving grilled salmon, red-skin potatoes, fresh spinach, and cornbread. For dessert, Lucille made a cherry cobbler. After we cleaned up dinner, Carl and Lucille joined us for dancing lessons. I was amazed. They were very impressive dancers, especially Carl. After dancing, Carl and I enjoyed some drinks and played gin while Lucille watched a light movie with the girls. When they left, I was told to change into my pajamas and sit with them to watch An American in Paris. After just one movie, I was able to go to bed while they continued watching. I guess this would be our new summer routine, but I wouldn't escape watching at least one light movie with them. During the weekend, I had a quick chat with Freddie about Anna, since she seemed to know all about him. She hesitantly admitted she knew Anna, but it seemed they weren't friends. On Monday night, Don went to Anna's house again. He was surprised when she opened the door. She looked beautiful and ready to go out. Her outfit was nice and well put together. "Hi, Don. I'm sorry for how I look. I was meeting an important client, and a little friendly conversation can really help make a sale. I sometimes feel like I'm pushing things too far, but times are hard and I need to promote my business. I wouldn't go beyond what's appropriate. If I had a partner, I would act differently. I hope this doesn't change how you see me." "No, as long as it stays friendly. I can't say you're doing anything wrong. It seems smart, and I can understand that." "Good. I really appreciate you, Don, and I would hate to lose your respect." In truth, Anna had not been trying to impress any male clients that day. Her only 2 customers had been older women. "Let's go back to my office so you can show me what you have." For the next 2 hours, Don and Anna made final adjustments to her website. Anna was impressed with Don's work and had a hard time finding things she wanted to change. The few small suggestions she made were quickly fixed, and she appreciated how much he cared about making her happy. However, Don was finding it hard to concentrate. Anna still hadn't changed out of her nice outfit, and she was sitting close enough for them to both see the screen. Her presence was definitely distracting him. Anna noticed this and felt pleased. She could see Don's cheeks were a bit red and that he was slightly unfocused. "Don, I need to be honest," he said. "Your outfit, how close you're sitting, and your smell are quite nice, but it's making it tough for me to focus." "Really?" she replied playfully. She moved even closer, resting her arm gently around his. He looked at her, surprised, and she gave him a warm smile. "If you can still focus, I must not be trying hard enough. Should we get back to work and see if I can help?" She then acted as if she was looking at the monitor and moved the mouse to a different page. Don was confused by Anna's actions. "Am I going to get involved tonight? Do I want to connect with someone I don't know well? What about my safety? What if she isn't careful? Is she dressed this way to get my attention, despite what she said before?" His thoughts were racing with questions. Meanwhile, Anna was thinking about her next move. At that moment, she had several options. If Don leaned in closer because he was curious, she would be open to it. Option 2 was to be more lighthearted, chatting with him in a friendly way while keeping a playful attitude. Just then, Don's phone rang. If either of them had looked outside, they might have seen Freddie's car parked nearby. Q's phone had taken over Don's phone completely, letting her control it. For example, Don's phone was turning into a listening device without him knowing. When the two women heard how Don and Anna were talking, they quickly sent a text message to Megan, who was ready to call her father in a hurry. "Daddy, something bad happened. All my homework files are gone. I've worked on this project for months and it's due tomorrow. What will I do, Daddy?" she cried, while also having fun with a Nerf gun battle against her sister. Hearing this, Don felt a mix of relief and irritation. He replied, "I'm on my way, sweetheart. Give me half an hour and I'll be home." Don thought he had saved backup files of Megan's and Robin's work at home. Plus, he could connect to Megan's computer from his place and probably get most of her work back. But if he had to, he would go back to that woman's house to help his daughter. "Okay, Daddy. I'll wait for you. Please hurry. It's so late and I'm so tired. I might have to stay up all night redoing everything." Just then, Robin hit her with almost 20 shots from the new Nerf gun that Maria had gotten her. Megan was annoyed and thought, "Maria better get me something just as good for my birthday, or I'll be upset. Bye, sweetheart. I'm heading home now." Don stood up, packed his things, and quickly walked to the front door. Anna followed him, surprised that her plans were falling apart so quickly. "Anna, you heard, I've got to help my daughter. We've almost completed the website. If you need any more changes, just call me and I will handle it." "I'm sorry, but I have to go. Goodbye," Don said as he stepped outside. "Goodbye, Don," she called after him. Once the door was closed, she expressed her irritation. Don was able to help Megan by accessing her computer from a distance. Afterwards, he took a long shower and fell asleep listening to the CD in his player, which he had set to play on repeat until he drifted off. On Tuesday afternoon, Don's phone rang. "Hello, Don. It's Anna. Did I catch you at a bad time?" "No, this is fine, Anna. Is there an issue with the website?" "No, Don, the website is great. I called to say I'm sorry if I came on too strong the other night." "Anna, I appreciate that, but I have to admit you were a bit too direct for me. Honestly, I don't have much experience in social situations, and you made me feel a little nervous." "Oh, Don, I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable, but I really like you. Do you think we could get together for a casual evening, maybe just coffee and a movie?" "Anna, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm just a bit new to this. I'd love to meet up. A nice evening sounds great. Would Thursday work for you?" "Thursday is perfect. The theater downtown is showing a remastered version of The African Queen at 7. There's a nice outdoor cafe across the street where we can meet at 6 for an early dinner." "That sounds wonderful, Anna. I'll see you at 6. Thanks for giving me a chance, Don. I'm excited for Thursday. Goodbye for now." "Goodbye, Anna." MI5 Satellite Office, Seattle, Washington, Tuesday evening. Bond and Moneypenny walked into the office. M was already sitting, and Q, dressed as usual, stood smiling. Sounds from boats and cars filled the room. Bond and Moneypenny looked at the screen showing a lovely view of the Thames River with a low bridge. They soon realized it was a large vertical LCD display. Q's smile grew wider as she said, "It's real-time video." M got straight to the point. Enough about that, we have an emergency. Our recordings show that Anna has convinced Dawn to go on a date. This will really upset Maria if she hears about it. We need to step in so that Anna doesn't try again. And even if she does, Dawn will refuse her. Q, go ahead. Q leaned over to pick up a guitar case and placed it on M's desk. Opening it revealed a strange device made from shiny materials. I call this the skunk device. It has an effective range of about 120 feet in most weather. It releases a gel solution that can reach its target either as a gel or as a spray, depending on the conditions. It has a strong smell similar to a skunk, but it's much stronger. Do you both know how to use a rifle? Both Bond and Moneypenny shook their heads. M then said, I've done a few biathlon events, so I guess I can take the shooting role. We will need two things: a safe place to shoot from, like an office window across the street, and a way to keep Anna and Dawn away from the cafe. We already have a technique to move him out of the area using his phone, just like last time. We have 2 days to sort this out. I've been doing well with my paintings recently, thanks to Dawn, and I'm expecting a good outcome from my lawsuit against Harris. So here's $2,000 I'm willing to contribute. If we need more, I can give more too. Helga, can you show Kathy and Vanessa where the bistro is and what's nearby? Q looked a bit annoyed for a moment before letting out a sigh. She leaned over, typed on her laptop, and the screen changed to show the bistro and the nearby buildings. Does anyone have suggestions? M asked. Vanessa spoke first. That older office building next to the bistro has windows that can open. Many of these buildings are looking for tenants these days. We could probably rent an office or a meeting room for one night or maybe a month if needed. It should be affordable. We just need to make sure the room is close enough for our plans. Kathy added, for organizing a nice table setting, we can invite our friends. When Dawn and Anna come, we can create some open spaces at tables where we need them. The bistro likely gets busy during lunch, so on a weeknight, there shouldn't be too many people around. The tricky part will be finding people who can keep quiet and are free. I know about 5 or 6 college friends who would help out for a free meal at the bistro. I think we'll need at least 20. Once we get Anna to leave, our friends can tell Dawn that she left unexpectedly. I still remember the trouble she caused years ago, and her recent actions are still on people's minds. Maria has been more careful lately, hinting that someone might be watching her. She has a kind heart, but worries too much about what others think. We're not the only ones she has helped over the years, but I believe we are the only ones among her friends who don't gossip about her. Don seems quiet and shy, but we all know how protective he is of those he loves. Once he and Maria become a couple, those who talk badly about her will need to be cautious. Freddie, or M, then said, I have at least 8 people I trust, maybe 12, who can help and keep it a secret. I only have 2 or 3 I can rely on, Vanessa replied. For the chance to see this work, I know over 20 people who would want to be at that bistro, some of whom are quite trustworthy, Q said proudly. Okay then, it looks like we have a plan. Vanessa, see if you can book the room and call me if there are any problems. I'll practice using the skunk gun over the next few days, and we will all work on bringing customers to the bistro. Since Maria told us we were going to a saddle shop after therapy today, I've been looking up information online. I didn't realize how important having good boots is for safety. It's lucky that Barbara bought proper riding boots for Megan and Robin. I might not have thought about it otherwise. Lately, I noticed their boots seem to be getting small, so they might need new ones. The issue is that if I mentioned it to Maria, she would want to buy the boots for my girls. I learned that young girls often outgrow their riding gear, so there's a lot of good used equipment out there. Buying used items seem more practical since they might outgrow them in just a few months to a year. I really dislike waste. I get that kids want things that are shiny and new, but I can't stand wasting money. On Tuesday evening, I spent almost 40 minutes talking with Megan and Robin about my findings. There was a good chance we would find some used equipment at the shop. I wanted them to think carefully about their choices before we bought anything. Maria drove us on Wednesday night. I worried that our therapy session might take longer and we wouldn't have enough time to shop. Don't worry, Don. I work with this shop at least once a year. They will happily stay open late for us if it means selling 3 pairs of boots and 2 saddles. I knew she was planning to spend a lot, even bringing Roscoe along to support her wishes. One day I might take a self-defense class and see how she handles that. When facing a chicken, do you A, run away, B, seek a solution, C, call for help, or D, laugh at the situation? When we entered the shop, we were warmly welcomed. One salesperson helped me while the other assisted Maria. I felt proud when my girls asked about used boots and saddles, impressing the staff, which surprised even Maria. Maria stayed close to them but checked on me briefly. I think she noticed I was looking at the more affordable boots. She had a quick word with the woman helping me, who soon brought over 3 different pairs to try. I asked about used boots as well, but learned that the options in my size weren't in great shape. Maria ended up paying for everything, and when I tried to help, she had Robin hand her Roscoe. At that moment, I gave up. My boots cost over $300. What she paid for our girls' things was over $1,500. Maria was thrilled when we returned to the car and unloaded our purchases. We got such a great deal on those saddles. They're older but very well cared for and look nearly brand new. They usually cost over $2,000 each. They are much better than the basic saddles, too. Robin's used boots were a fantastic find as well. There was a lovely pair of used boots that almost fit Megan, but they were just a little too small. She hugged our girls tightly. My kids are so clever. Not many girls who are 12 or 13 would ask about used things. Megan and Robin both looked a bit shy, so I put my finger to my lips, signaling that this talk about used things should stay a secret. They learned something important that night. New is not always better, and I don't think they will forget it soon, especially after what happened during our shopping trip. On Thursday evening, Dawn met Anna as she walked toward the bistro. It seemed busy, and there was a short line, but when they arrived, the people in line just left. Dawn figured they must have gotten tired of waiting. Suddenly, a quiet table in the corner opened up. Dawn noticed that many of the customers had short haircuts. He ordered a cup of coffee and a piece of baklava, while Anna just wanted a coffee. She liked looking at Dawn and imagining what their evening might hold, thinking it could be fun to create memories together to share with Maria later. Dawn, thank you so much for meeting with me after how I acted on Monday. Anna, I'm not saying you did anything wrong. I just haven't been in many dating situations, so I sometimes don't know how to behave. Freddie watched them closely, thinking about what he should do next. He had found a great spot for his plan. Dawn and Anna chatted while sipping their coffee. Dawn hoped that being in a public place would help him feel more comfortable, but it wasn't working. Why do I feel like she is the hunter, and I am the hunted? He was starting to think this date might not be a good idea when his phone rang. Daddy, it's Megan, and I have a problem. Hiss. Crackle. I need a new phone. This one is acting up again. Dawn, you can use my cell phone. No thanks, but it wouldn't help. Megan told me she has been getting strange calls from kids at school. She won't answer if the number isn't one she knows. I'll just take a quick walk to find a better signal. Dawn hurried away. Anna pulled a small envelope from her pocket, but was unsure about using it. Inside was a crushed pill they thought might help change Dawn's mood. Then she glanced at his baklava and realized he was gone. Freddie kept a close eye on Dawn's date. He was focused and ready to carry out his plan. Q had given him 3 ways to handle the situation, depending on what happened next. The first method was to be clear and direct when the moment was right. The second way was to shoot at something close by, preferably above the target, so that the splatter would hit. The third method, which was the best for staying unnoticed, could only be used when it was warmer than 70 degrees, and the target was between 100 and 120 feet away. Under these conditions, you aimed straight at the target, and the special gel would turn into a small puff of mist just before reaching it. Even one shot in any situation could make the toughest person rush to wash up. Freddie was upset with Anna. She had been secretly trying to ruin Maria's reputation, and after she found out about Dawn, she tried to take him for herself. So it wasn't surprising when Freddie shot her 3 times. The weapon could fire quickly, but he paused after the first shot to see what would happen to Anna. The first shot hit the back of her head, and the other 2 hit her back as she stood. When the first shot connected, she wrinkled her nose at the smell, and a look of disgust crossed her face. Trying to stay calm, she stood up after the second shot, but lost her cool before the third hit her. Fear showed on her face. "What is that smell? It's everywhere!" she cried, shaking and struggling to breathe. The people at the outdoor cafe quickly moved away from her and the terrible odor. They shouted unkind comments about Anna, letting everyone know she was the cause of it. "How can a person smell like that? Is she part skunk? She smells worse than a herd of camels and skunks." This was even worse than when she fell off the catwalk in Los Angeles, and she still blamed Maria for that. Where was that smell coming from? Feeling overwhelmed, she desperately wanted to leave. Anna ran toward her parked car, worried that the smell was stuck to her clothes. A group of young men on the street looked surprised at first, but when she got closer, they turned away in disgust. In her panic, Anna felt confused and angry. "Why is this happening to me? Don't you all know I could have been a supermodel if it weren't for Maria? You're all just trash. I'll get you all." Just before reaching her car, Anna, moving too quickly in her high heels, lost her balance and fell into a pile of garbage bags by a dumpster. Some people who were kinder might have stayed quiet or even tried to help her. Anna had a tough time when a group of local high school students spotted her and started laughing. "Hey, lady, looking for a new scent?" shouted one boy. Some garbage bags had ripped open, spilling leftovers from a nearby restaurant all over Anna's clothes. It took her a while to climb out of the mess, and in the process, she lost one of her shoes. Limping, she finally reached her beloved Porsche, eager to get home. In her rush, she forgot about the smell trapped inside when she closed the car door. The odor became too much for her to handle. Feeling sick, she ended up making a mess inside the car. Frustrated, she opened all the windows and sped away, her tires screeching on the road. "I'll never come near Don again. He's just bad luck. I need a new plan to deal with Maria. Where's this smell coming from?" Freddie, pleased with her successful prank, used a special cloth her sister had given her to clean the tools she had used. After putting it away in a guitar case, she finally took off her mask. Her friends erupted in laughter. They had lost sight of Anna as she turned the corner, but what they saw was more entertaining than they had expected. Helga, wanting to see how well their plan worked, had set up hidden cameras along the path from the cafe to the parking lot. Freddie was excited to watch the recordings later. Once Anna left, the cafe staff approached the table and noticed that most of the unpleasant smell was gone, so they quickly started cleaning up. Don returned from his phone call with Megan, only to find that Anna was gone, and the table had been cleared with no explanation. He asked other tables, but nobody knew why she had left. They only said she got up suddenly. Most of the remaining customers in the cafe were in on Freddie and Helga's plan, following what they had practiced when talking to Don. The waitstaff was swamped with a surge of new orders from tables far away from Don's. 3 strikes and you're out, Don thought. Maybe it was for the best because something always felt a bit off about Anna. Still, it hurt his pride. 2 girls he dated had left him during the evening, and one made up an excuse. Looks like he should get used to being on his own. Don decided not to call Anna anymore. If she wanted to talk, she could reach out to him. In the meantime, Q set up Don's phone so it wouldn't accept any calls from Anna. This time, only Vanessa came with us on our trip to the mountains. It felt a lot like our weekend with Freddie. However, my girls were excited to use their new saddles, and I learned to walk and even trot with Joe a little bit. Then there was the big Nerf gun battle that started early Sunday morning, with everyone except me still in their pajamas, and went on almost until we had to leave. I told Maria around 10 in the morning that it was time to stop, thinking she wanted to ride more that day, but she surprised me by taking aim. I was the only one awake on the way home, and I wondered just how long they had been playing. The ladies woke up early Sunday morning in the movie room and quietly went to the kitchen to grab a piece of the pie. While we were snacking, we started talking about the Nerf gun battles we had, and Vanessa showed interest in our collection. I don't know who made the first move, but it wasn't long before we decided Don had been sleeping long enough. I didn't know he had a Nerf gun hidden under his pillow. During the weekend, Don briefly mentioned another date he had last Thursday. He wasn't too sure about the girl to begin with, but the way she left reminded him of how Ava acted. Don explained that the woman was linked to Freddie and needed help with a website. She had known Freddie from his modeling days. He thought something was off about her, but went out with her anyway, wanting to gain some experience. I remember thinking I could help him with that. He felt pretty down about the date not going well, but I wasn't sure how to lift his spirits too much, especially since I was glad it hadn't worked out. While I was relieved it ended badly, I couldn't help but wonder if my friends were trying to mess up Don's dates. I was too nervous to ask them. If they were, it would be hard for me to keep it from Don. Too many people had kept secrets from him. Even though I'm holding on to my own past for now, that's mine. I don't think I could hide it if I found out others were interfering in his life, even if it might help me. Don and I had been working together all week to plan Megan's upcoming birthday party. We had to keep Robin out of the loop because she struggles to keep secrets from her older sister. On Wednesday night, Megan carefully asked what we would do special next week. Don replied, "Well, honey, your birthday is on Tuesday. Since it is a school night, let's have a small party here next Wednesday." Don is always such a character. I could see Megan's excitement fade, and I quickly backed him up by saying, "That makes sense since it is a school night." Robin looked surprised by my answer and did her best to cheer up her sister, which was really sweet, while Megan tried to hide her disappointment. When we left for the mountains the following weekend, it was just the four of us. Don made sure to leave the Nerf guns at home, saying things had gotten a little wild last weekend. Until that moment, I think Megan secretly hoped we were planning a surprise party. I could tell she was trying to pull herself together after her hopes were dashed. I felt awful putting her in this situation. Once we arrived at our mountain home, Megan seemed so down that she went to bed early, along with Robin, instead of watching a movie with me. If this doesn't turn out well, I'll be really upset with Don. The next morning, I told the girls to get up. They moved slowly, and Robin appeared even more upset than Megan. We had taken them to a nice restaurant in a limousine, and now it felt like we were ignoring her sister's birthday. The girls could hardly eat breakfast, and I felt so bad for them that I couldn't eat either. Don, on the other hand, was happily enjoying his meal. He even winked at me when the girls weren't looking. What a playful guy. I wondered if he would keep being this mischievous after we got married. I liked the idea, but I hoped it would be more than just a dream. We went out to the garage to get in my SUV, and instead of pressing the garage door opener, I accidentally turned on the overhead light. "Surprise! Happy birthday, Megan!" everyone yelled. There were our friends Vanessa, Freddie, Kathy, Carl, Lucille, and Nancy. I reached behind a toolbox and grabbed my new Nerf gun. It looked simple, but it was really cool. Megan turned to me, and with a playful smile I asked, "Do you feel lucky?" Robin looked even happier than her sister, which was amazing. On tables set up in the garage were all their own Nerf toys. Our friends had picked them up at Don's apartment early that morning. On other tables were even more Nerf guns for all our guests. Among the guns on the table was a large wrapped box for Megan. I nodded at the box to get Megan's attention. "You'll get the rest of your gifts later, but we thought you might need this one this morning." She rushed over to open it, and you could see she was a bit let down. It didn't look as exciting as the toy I had gotten for Robin. "Megan, let me explain. This toy was made by Freddie's sister Helga, just like Robin's toy. She calls it Nerf Storm and got the idea from a real toy system called Metal Storm. This toy you have and Robin's are the same. Instead of using a magazine, you change out the big barrel, which is actually a set of 7 smaller barrels that you prepare ahead of time. One pull of the trigger releases 7 foam darts. Each barrel can hold 6 shots, so 7 darts times 6 shots gives you 42 darts. I pointed the toy at Don. You can take 1 shot, and I shot Don once with 7 darts. He fell over dramatically. Or you can fire off all 42 darts in less than 2 seconds. I switched the setting and shot Don's body with the remaining 35 darts. Suddenly, Megan's eyes lit up as she started tearing at the rest of the packaging for her own toy. "Helga gave you 4 extra barrels, and you can switch them really quickly." I showed Megan everything she needed to know to use her toy. Then the battle royale began. Carl had made sure Lucille had one of those big Nerf toys, and she had so much fun shooting at everyone. We didn't go horseback riding that day. At lunchtime, everyone took a break while Don, Carl, and Lucille made lunch. After lunch, we tried to play outside for a bit, but we were losing too many darts, so we decided to head back inside. Keeping our darts safe was important. For dinner, we enjoyed Dungeness crab, a favorite, and Don baked a big cake for dessert. He had to take a break from playing in the afternoon to make it. Megan received her usual gifts, and just like Robin, I gave her a special locket. It was a bit different, but had a similar engraving and a picture inside. I worried she might feel bad about getting something similar to Robin's gift, but I was happy to see she was really pleased. We also had another fun movie night. Don made 3 tasty pies for us. He and Carl stayed in the kitchen until 3 in the morning, keeping us fed while playing cards and having drinks. We even got to go horseback riding the next day before heading home. For dinner that night, Don made his special burgers and fries, and for dessert, we had cheesecake. One thing did bother me that weekend. Lucille made it a point to talk to me about Don and his dating struggles. Apparently, he had shared too much with Carl during the party, and Carl told his wife. She sat me down and said, "Maria, I care about you like one of my own daughters. But that poor man thinks he might be alone forever. You told me some of his background, so I get why he doesn't share his feelings, but you have no excuse." Then she gave me some straightforward advice on what to do. I wondered if she talked to her real daughters like that. I realized I was running out of time if I wanted Donald, and I really did. I needed to take action. I didn't really like that woman, but here I was, feeling down after my 3rd rejection. I wasn't sure how much more I could take. This whole getting ready and going on practice dates wasn't working for me. None of my 3 real dates lasted more than 30 minutes, and one even got canceled. I thought maybe it was time to stop my lessons. I had a little money, so perhaps I should consider one of those mail-order brides. I didn't want to grow old alone. I needed to find someone who would go out with someone like me. I knew some people find true love that way, but it felt very risky, and I wouldn't know how my future partner really felt for a long time. Plus, what would my friends think? Those were the thoughts in my head as I walked to my front door on Wednesday evening. "All right, Don, it's showtime. Your loved ones are home, and Maria wants to celebrate Megan's birthday again the day after her real birthday. She promised to make lasagna, so put a smile on and make it a joyful day for everyone." Don was walking through the front door. Tonight was the night. It was time to start Operation Get Don, Marry Don. I made a Black Forest cake for dessert tonight. Robin and Maria were admiring it, and I had to chase them out of the kitchen. I had made them a vegetable and cheese plate for a snack, but they hadn't seemed too excited about it. Well, too bad. It was time they ate something a little healthier. There would be plenty of comfort food for dinner. "Welcome home, Don. How was your day?" "It was fine, but I'm starting to think I could spend my time better. Richard and I have been discussing my programs and making a few changes. He's using them now and has encouraged me to be more active in my trades. If I do that, I will need to keep a close eye on the markets and be ready to make decisions. He believes I could earn more this way than with my current job, but I prefer to be careful with my investments. That's something to consider, I guess." "Wow, whatever you're cooking smells amazing, and you look great." I had to pause for a moment since he switched topics so quickly, but I was glad he noticed the wonderful scents in my new outfit. I had chosen it especially for him. It was a stylish choice. I had to be careful since Megan and Robin were around, but I could hint at various ideas with my new clothes. Dinner went well, and then we gave Megan a couple more small gifts. I gave her a pair of earrings, and Don gave her some gift cards for the big mall nearby. After that, we headed downstairs for our dance lessons. As expected, the girls got bored and went upstairs first, just as I planned. Once they left, I put on Moon River to play on repeat. "Don, I've been thinking. I'm the only one you haven't practiced with yet. Would you like to go out dancing with me this Thursday?" "Maria, I've thought a lot about that too. You're a wonderful person, and I'd love to go out with you, but after my last experiences, I'm starting to wonder if I can ever be appealing to anyone." "Oh, Don, please don't feel that way. I know my friends have been disruptive with your dates. There are at least 10 other women who have met you and would be thrilled to hear that you are single, but you just can't see it. I want to lift your spirits like Lucille said I should. Please, Don. I know there's someone for you. Just give me a chance, okay? Anything for you, Maria, you know that. I may not be the best company, though. Will that be all right?" "That's okay, Don. I'm sure we'll have a great time. What are you going to make for dinner?" Don looked at me and burst into laughter. He couldn't stop and bent over, holding his knees while he laughed. He would calm down for a moment, look at my face, and start laughing again. I didn't think it was that funny. What I should have done was spend the whole day at Don's apartment and maybe cook him dinner. But I wanted the full practice date experience that everyone else had. I wanted to arrive at his door looking my best. I wished for a warm greeting, but a more excited one would be nice too. I wanted Don to cook dinner for me, and I wanted to drive him to the club in my brand new car. And that is exactly what I was going to do. I arrived right at 6 o'clock, wearing a green silk dress that made me feel confident, along with the jewelry Don had gifted me. I wanted Don to be impressed and happy to see me. I had even been careful about what to ask him to prepare for dinner because I didn't want something too heavy. I wanted him to look sharp when he opened the door. I got my wish. He opened the door wearing the fitted white dress shirt I had given him, a blue-gray tie that matched his eyes perfectly, and gray dress pants. We looked at each other for a long moment, and then he seemed like he was about to say something. I greeted him quickly, making sure it was friendly. I could sense a connection between us. I stepped back from Don, and he seemed a bit surprised as he took a moment to collect himself. Finally, he said, "Wow," in a slow way, like a train letting out a puff of steam. I smiled, thinking I must be doing something right. Someday I wanted to show Don just how special this could be. I wanted to take him by the tie and lead him inside, but I knew I should take it slow on our first date. Maybe Don thought of this as just another practice date, but I felt it meant more. Today was important for making connections, and I wasn't going to let this chance pass by. "Don, aren't you going to invite me in?" I asked with a smile. Yeah, of course, I'm sorry. I just got a bit lost in thought about work." "Please come in, Maria." "Wow, you look amazing." I hoped he had some napkins ready to clean up his surprise. "Is dinner ready yet, Don?" "It'll be ready in about 10 minutes. I didn't want it to get cold." "Great," I said, walking over to his stereo to play a Eurythmics CD. I thought the music was just right for the evening. I liked Don a lot, and while I wasn't ready to say it outright, I wanted to show him in every way I could. Don made a lovely dinner. It wasn't his usual rich food, but something healthy that he could whip up easily. He prepared baked salmon, baked potatoes, asparagus, and a pie for dessert. He had made the pie the night before after I asked for it. I joked that he'd have to keep Robin and Megan in line to stop them from sneaking bites. Megan was thrilled that I was going out with her dad, while Robin was still a bit unsure about everything. After dinner, we both brushed our teeth carefully. No one likes to go out with food stuck between their teeth. Once we left his apartment, I led Don to my new car. He looked surprised to see it was a sleek metallic Lexus SF. "What happened to your SUV?" he asked. "Oh, I still have it, but I wanted something a bit faster. I thought about a Mercedes, but they don't make a 4-passenger roadster, so this was the best I could find for now." He opened my car door for me, and I accidentally revealed a bit too much as I got into the driver's seat. I heard him take a deep breath as we got ready to go. I felt a mix of excitement and nerves about this practice date. I knew it was just a preliminary outing, but I could hardly wait. I got into the passenger seat and saw Maria looking at me with a confused expression. It took a moment for me to settle in, but the inside of the car was nice. I leaned back in my seat, enjoying the ride. I noticed some shiny silver controls on the steering wheel. Maria saw what I was looking at and said, "These are called paddle shifters, Don. They make it easier to change gears without taking your hands off the wheel." She smiled at me and added, "Freddie has been giving me a few driving lessons recently, too." Don closed his eyes for a bit during the ride, but I wasn't going that fast, certainly not like Freddie does. When we got to the club, I wished Vanessa hadn't thrown away Don's VIP card. It would have made parking simpler. Once we walked inside, we were led to a table where we put our things down before hitting the dance floor. After a few songs, we took breaks now and then. Eva came over for a moment, but I didn't catch much of what she said. Nobody came over to talk to us like they did when Vanessa was with Don, but that was fine. We had a fantastic time dancing, even if sometimes we ended up just shuffling around, which most people might call dancing. I think I heard Moon River play a lot that night. When we focused again on dancing, we put on a pretty good show. I was surprised when Eva came back to our table later that night. I noticed that the music had stopped, and it suddenly felt like it had been quiet for a while. "Maria and Don, we are about to close up, so I need to ask you to leave." Here's a VIP card for your next visit, and your drinks and tip are already taken care of. I hope to see you again soon." Don and I looked around and saw that we were the only ones left. When I checked my watch, I was shocked to see it was almost 40 minutes past closing. How did that happen? "Oh, Eva, I'm so sorry if we caused any trouble," Don said, sharing my feelings. "We didn't realize you were closing." "Don't worry, you haven't caused me any trouble at all. I expect this place to be busy with women bringing their dates just to see you two. You can return any time," she said as she walked away, leaving Don and me in surprised silence. Things were going well at the club when Ava saw Don come in with a new date. It took her a moment to remember the woman's name. "Oh yes, that's Maria," she thought. Maria had been staying a bit under the radar lately since some rumors had come out. Eva felt a little sad that she hadn't been able to win Don over, but she knew she would find someone else. She always did. She was amazed by the dancing show that the two of them put on. Let's talk about the strong bond and connection between partners. Don and Maria truly had it. They captured everyone's attention around them. When the band began to play Moon River, Don and Maria moved closer together on the dance floor. After the song ended, they returned to their table holding hands. Usually, when couples dance so well, others come over to praise them. But around these two, it felt like there was an invisible barrier, and no one dared to interrupt. Eva approached them carefully and had to speak up to be heard. Getting answers from them was tough. Eventually, she figured out that Don had either lost or never had his VIP card. She planned to fix that, but they only needed one card between them. That night was delightful for Ava and her guests. Every time Don and Maria danced, someone would give the band $20 to play Moon River. Whenever the song started, they would move closer, and when it ended, they would stroll off holding hands for a few songs before coming back. The band played Moon River at least 10 times that night. In fact, they stayed a little longer just to play it one more time for the two of them. Ava had never seen such a loving couple, but she wondered if they realized how unique their bond was. "If I could capture what they have, I could be very successful," she thought. She would even like to have some for herself. This made her reflect on her ex-husband. He really had been one of the good ones.